Welcome to episode 10 of Snapverse616. I, as always, am Smokey, and with me, as always, is Invoke. So, this week we got some.
Should say this.
Go
Sorry.
ahead.
I was gonna say there's gonna be a change
What's.
because I'm gonna go by my Twitch name.
Oh, yeah, he's Jeremy J.S. Murray on Twitch, so I guess I'm going to have to change his overlay. Oh, God.
I
Will it
forgot to
even fit?
remind you about it.
Will it even fit? How
Just
many
put
licks.
Jeremy
How many
Murray.
licks will it take to get to the center of that overlay? The world may never find out.
About 15.
But yeah, so Jeremy here's making sure his rebranding is all rebranded and branded. Now that you can change names in game. I think the most exciting thing we've got coming up is Snapverse616 and our Night Snappers crew of Snap players and streamers. We're actually putting on a tournament, and it's going to be February 11th. That's a Saturday, so it should be friendly to most people's schedules. It's going to be 11 a.m. Central Time, and more or less, it's free to enter. There's no you don't got to do anything or jump through a hoop or nothing like that. And it's not like restrictive in terms of some of the other tournaments that are out there. We're not trying to hold
It is
people off.
kind of restrictive in
Um,
the sense that
it's not restrictive in that like Nico was hearing about a tournament from someone at one point one time, and he wasn't even interested for himself. He was thinking purely of me when he was thinking about it, and asked the guy some
yeah,
questions, and they made him feel like shit for even asking, like he has no business belonging there. So what I mean
yeah,
is, we're
I
not
hate
restrictive with that. Like everyone's welcome. This is like hey, the more the merrier. Community's great. We like meeting new people. We like hanging out with new people, building community. That's what we're all about here. So, um,
but there are deck
yeah, we do
restrictions.
have some rules, but it is to make it more fair and approachable for everyone. So everybody knows that the guy with Darkhawk or Null pretty much runs rampant in ranked ladders. They pretty much run rampant over the
Yeah.
game. We don't want that to happen in the tournament. So we do have some rules. And first off, there's two brackets. There's a pool two only bracket, so newer players can compete even if they don't feel like they have a lot of cards, but they feel like, hey, I'm pretty good at this game, even though I'm only in pool two. Hey, enter the pool two bracket because no pool three cards are allowed. So that one will be an interesting one, and newer players that aren't as deep into the collector level, definitely for you. Then the pool three bracket, we're not allowing any pool four or any pool five cards. So you're not going to have a bunch of Zabu stuff. You're not going to have a bunch of, you know, um, Silver Surfers running around going all popping off on you. It's going to be, restricted to pool three only cards. And that should keep it a little more fair for everybody. I know that a lot of times, partway through pool three, you really don't have a lot of the parts that someone who's completed it has, but you should have enough
Yeah,
parts to compete.
I still don't have some of the like top cards for pull three. Like given the amount that I play, like I still don't have like Quinjet. Um, yeah, I'm still missing quite a few of the top pull three cards.
Right, right. So I think though, and that happened to me too. When I was trying to finish pool three, I was stuck. Like I couldn't get Brood and Hazmat, and it's like, bro, those are such huge cards. They were such huge
Yeah, I still
cards.
don't have either one of those either. Yeah.
Yeah. So we understand the feels, and we want to try to make it as fair and approachable for as many people as possible. So no pool four or five cards will be in this tournament. That may change in a future main tournament, but that would be well down the line, and we'd let you know well in advance. But for this first one, this is how it's going, and then we're gonna have some prizes. They're not too shabby. I know a lot of folks are free to play too. So if you are free to play, this is kind of nice for you because it's an excuse to get yourself the season pass without paying. So if you win pool either of the pool brackets, you get the season pass gifted. And then if you are the winner of the main pool three bracket, You're also going to get $25 USD gifted to the platform of your choice. So pretty sweet prizes. And in the future, I think what we're planning on doing, because one of the prizes is season pass based. I think our goal here is to have a main tournament, like about a week after this, the week following each season launch, um, and then we're going to have another tournament in between, uh, like a couple weeks into the season, and that one's gonna be like a metagame kind of tournament. Um, so battle mode came out. We had a lot of fun with that this week, experimenting and testing stuff out. To prep for the tournament and just because it's fun. And we invented a bunch of different game modes that are like pretty fun, like Agatha Wars with some restrictions on how that's played, and you have to have Agatha in your deck, and basically it's whichever Agatha wins. And then we've got maximum destruction, who can destroy the most cards in a single round, et cetera, et cetera. We've got Titania Tennis, so if you have Titania, that's a fun one. Um, Titania Tennis has some restrictions on it, but more or less you try to knock Titania back and forth across the court as it is, and then whoever has the most Titanias, because there can be one or two at the end of the match, wins. And so that's an interesting one. And then we also have Snap Golf. That's a fun one too. So that one would be like you put hazmat in your deck, stuff like that. No loot cages allowed, no enchantresses, stuff like that. Rules to make sure that there aren't cards allowed that break the spirit of the game. But the goal is to have the lowest score across all three locations each hand. And whoever does wins. And so that's pretty fun too. So we'll have some tournaments featuring those game modes, the meta games, in between. But each season, at the beginning, we are going to have this main tournament going forward. So definitely stop by the streams if you have any questions, the discords, etc. Feel free to email us, whatever, respond in the comments. The link to the sign up is going to be in the video description, should be at the very top, and then we'll put the rest of the normal video description underneath it. I'd say definitely sign up. You get to register 3 decks, and the way it works is, there's 2 series that you're going to play, a best of 5 and I believe a best of 3. Don't quote me. I'm not the rule maker. That's Malkuvius. But I did write the code of conduct. And there is a code of conduct, so make sure you adhere to that, because you don't want to get disqualified for doing something that's not appropriate. And then in terms of registering your 3 decks, if there's a couple series being played, and I believe it's a best of 5, best of 3, if you were to lose because you get outclassed on the first one just because your deck gets countered by the deck they were running, well, you registered 3 decks, you can swap to a different one for that next series and see what happens and what shakes. So definitely get in there, definitely register your decks, and get all the information you need from us. And on day of, we will be adding everyone to the tournament Discord, or leading up to the day of rather, and then get everybody's roles assigned and all that. And if you don't stream, it's okay. We're going to have a bunch of ways in place to verify games, including screen grabs and etc. But if you are able to stream the game to at least Discord, that would be preferable. If you're a streamer, that's awesome too. You're more than welcome to stream it. We do have in the code of conduct some, things we ask that you adhere to while streaming content related to the tournament, including a stream delay. So check all that out, and we hope to see y'all, on the 11th, and we hope a lot of you have some real fun with that.
And we will be live casting it as a group.
Yep.
I believe it's you and
Yeah, me and Mal.
You and Mal are casting it,
Yep.
and then I'm running the production from the behind the scenes. At least that's the plan as of right now.
Yep.
I'm not sure which channels we're streaming it to, but we'll figure that out as we
Yeah,
get
once we
closer
know,
to
we'll
it.
let you know.
Yeah.
But I believe we're planning on co-streaming to both our channels, and either using the new guest star feature or just key sharing or some shit like that. So it'll, unless we're doing separate matches.
I was gonna say if I'm like if we're running the production together, which is kind of how I planned on doing it, which is a discussion we should probably have.
Well, yeah.
Uh, Key sharing would probably be the easiest, and then just change keys after the tournament,
Yeah.
so that if you're worried about people taking,
Exactly.
because like with my program, I can stream up to 3 places.
Right. Right.
And put it all into one.
But,
away we go.
But yeah, so depending on how we structure it, and a lot of that's going to depend on the level of signups we
Number
get.
of entrants.
Exactly. So the number of entrants is going to somewhat dictate the production elements here going in. But
Yeah.
we'll let you know when we have more info as far as that goes. I think next up, you had some stuff from the Ben Brode Q&A.
Yeah, so
He didn't answer my question, by the way. He didn't answer my question. I'm salted.
Oh, hold up. First of all, what question did you ask?
I'm going to go to the official Snap Discord because it should tell me my thing still pinned. It should. Okay, it's not.
Well, while he's trying to find that, I will say this. As we know, every major release, every major patch, they do a Q&A to kind of talk about the changes. And that is where we're pulling these questions from.
My question was, is it intentional that once Collector is played before turn 6, in a hand where Mindscape Location is in play, that all these cards you now have in hand, and not from your deck, don't buff him +1 each? And they didn't answer
I guess
that.
my response would be, it might not be your deck, but it's a deck. And I know that that's not how the verbiage is written, but I'm guessing that's where it comes from.
It shouldn't, because, and I say this for this reason. If I play a card like White Queen, I get a card from their hand, it buffs him. If I play a card like Cable and it bottom deck draws from them, it buffs Collector. Which is why I said, why is this a thing, and is this intentional? Sir?
Yeah, that seems like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, so I was hoping to get an answer to that.
Unless they're worried that that would make Collector like OP, which I mean it could, because Mindscape comes up an awful lot lately.
Yeah, but I mean, outside of an actual event, banking on an event location is pretty, or I mean, banking on a location is pretty
you shouldn't do that.
Because even for a common one, you're drawing from a pool of like dozens. I mean, the odds to get the one that helps you is like...
Yeah. So, in terms of things that were covered in this Q&A that weren't Smokey's question, obviously, we're going to start off with a bit of a funny one. So, apparently, I didn't catch the Discord user's name, but there's an individual who has already reached max collector level, which is 22,366. So his question was, do they plan on increasing the collector level anytime in the future, in the near future? And I kind of chuckled at this because you're already at max level. How much do you play this game? Because like we play it an awful lot.
This guy was playing since beta, clearly.
Clearly. I wouldn't be surprised if it's another dev. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like
I would laugh if one of his own employees is like, by the way, I'm done. When are you going to give me more, boss?
Yeah.
It's like one of his quality testers.
So, one of the people responsible for responding to questions rather, did respond and said, thanks for sharing the impressive achievement. I think we can call this a world's first. And they do say they plan on extending it in the future, although they do not give a timetable for extending it. So, for those of you who have reached next level, which I doubt is very many, Yes, you will get more content
Oh,
at
it's
some
me. It's
point,
me. I'm
which
almost
I think is
23.
obvious. Like they're not gonna say no, right?
Yeah.
Unless the game
Yeah.
just dies. But even then, it's like I don't see that happening. It's building quite a community. Um, but I put this question out there because I when I read that I kind of laughed to myself like, holy shit,
Right?
like
That's
how much are you
fucking.
playing this game?
That's like
Um,
impressive.
but onto some more serious
Super impressive.
questions, or rather tidbits, not really questions. Uh, There were some questions asked about battle mode. Um, and we got some interesting information from them. Uh, one of the key things that was asked about is whether or not it was region locked
Yeah, for battle mode.
um, for battle mode. Yes,
Yeah.
because that like when they first announced battle mode, the idea was that it was going to be region locked.
Yeah, and we
Um,
tested it day of because they said that their goal was to always try to make it possible to not region lock, but they didn't want to get our hopes up, so they announced it as locked.
yeah,
And then the day it launched, I didn't even look at the patch notes in terms of if they done it or whatever. I just had some homies from chat that are like from around the world, like Australia and like Portugal. So I had EU and OCE, no problems. And so yeah, that's great.
yeah, and it is official now that it is cross regional. It is not region locked.
Yeah,
They have clarified that. So any tournament plans like what we're doing are good to go for anybody.
yep, yep.
Um,
So you don't have to be from the
which
United States or North America to enter our tournament. You can be anywhere.
which is awesome.
Yeah, you can be from
Um,
Antarctica. Which I mean, if you're Superman, I guess you can enter the tournament. Be a DC Marvel crossover that unprecedented, but hey,
there were a couple other interesting tidbits that were brought up about battle mode. One of which is they are working on a competitive version of battle mode. Um, so alongside ranked, there's going to be like I'm
interesting.
assuming tournament based
Okay,
battle modes.
that seems like a
Um,
precursor to setting up League in terms of pro scene.
yes, yes, it does for sure. Along with them mentioning that there is a competitive battle mode coming, they also said that they are working on new battle mode types, which I believe we
We
had
already beat
already
them.
known because when they talked about battle mode, they did mention that they're working on a tournament
Yeah,
mode as well.
yeah,
Um, but I think this ties in well to one of the things that we were talking about with our other tournament ideas of being like Agatha Wars and like Maximum Destruction.
yep. Titania
Like,
golf,
are
or I mean
these
Snap golf,
are
Titania
these
tennis.
yeah, are these the type of battle modes that they're looking to enter, or are they looking to go more like competitive with it? You
So
know,
I'm gonna take a page
I
from
think,
Coffee Stain on this one. And in Satisfactory, a lot of the new update features are mods that the community made. And so I'm
yeah,
curious, are they going to like see people like us making these game modes popular and go, I would like to put your arcade mode in this?
yeah. My hope for them saying that they're working on new battle mode types is they kind of do a mixture of both competitive versions. I'll put air quotes
Yeah.
around that, but also fun versions like what you and Melkuvius and
Yeah.
B
Like
Rascal.
arcade modes more.
Yeah. Um, and they don't take the route of Nintendo and Pokemon Company where they're like,
Whoa.
no, we don't need to put a hard mode in Pokemon because we don't
Challenge.
feel like the game needs it, forcing the community to be like, no, we want a hard mode, so we're going to introduce Nuzlocks ourselves, which, for those that aren't familiar, a Nuzlocke is if a Pokemon faints in your run of the game, you can no longer use that Pokemon for the entirety of what's left of your gameplay. Kind of like permadeath. Um, so it's like I hope they don't go like strictly competitive with these new battle modes. I hope there's a mixture of arcade fun, but also competitive.
Right. Right.
even though I'm, like, as I said in your chat the other day, like I'm not one for some of the arcade modes that you guys have come up with. I'm more of an old guy, and I'm like, I just like standard play.
Old
Just
guy
give
over
me,
here, 10 years younger than me.
dude, the amount of TCGs I play, just give me a standard fucking card game and let me lose, because I'm gonna lose anyway. So,
No, I want to play Titania tennis and I want to play snap golf. What are you talking about?
I mean, for those that have fun with them, and I know you guys have a lot of fun with them, I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying that it's
But I think it'll give the
not for
game
me.
more of something for everybody.
Yeah, and I would never knock that.
And
I like the game so
yeah,
much that I want everybody to enjoy it. And if this helps everybody
right.
enjoy it, then awesome,
Well,
you know?
I think one interesting element too that it adds to it is so if you have like arcade modes and other modes and all that, and so like the people laddering definitely want a ladder. I think I kind of forgot what I was going for there. There was a thought. It disappeared.
Was it that like you can have two sets of people, two player pools basically? You can have ones that just want to mess around
Oh,
for fun
no,
to
no,
be
but
the
it did
creative
remind me what I
people.
was thinking of because you said mess around, have fun. I was thinking it might make Infinite more meaningful. And I don't mean like getting there or anything like that. I mean like the play level at Infinite might be more meaningful because when I watch my friends like Mal and King Mike and Rascal, Alien and that are all sitting over there at Infinite, there's a lot of like fuckery because you can't lose your rank once you hit Infinite. And so
Oh, that kind of makes me angry because you can lose your rank up to infinite. Like, come on.
yeah, so once you hit Infinite, you can't D rank below Infinite until the next season. Then you start at like everybody else, you start at Vibranium with
Okay,
three
that
ranks
makes
down.
me angry, actually. That actually really makes me
It
angry.
doesn't bother me. I don't care what. Doesn't affect me. What other people do is what other people do. It doesn't bother me none. But
Every other TCG that I've played, mind you, I've only made it to the top rank in one of them, being Magic. Um, if you lose your rank. It doesn't matter if you're one of the one top 1%. If
yeah,
you lose it.
yeah.
That's the way it should
But
be.
I think why they do this for Infinite is because if they don't, you're gonna have a stale game very quick. And they don't have these
Oh,
arcade
so
modes. They don't have the battle modes yet. So like what happens at Infinite is people start doing meme decks and stuff. Like Michael Blake be like, okay, let's make a Power Rangers deck and like which cards represent what. Like Destroyer was very obviously the Megazord. You know what I mean? But like
yeah.
who was Green Ranger? Was it Lizard? Was it gonna be Scorpion? Like I don't know.
Oh, it's
Who's going to be
definitely Scorpion.
the Red Ranger? Who's the Blue Ranger? Like, and so we decided all these things live. Made a cool deck that was like Power Ranger theme and all that, right? But it's a total meme. Now Mike did good with it, but at the same time, am I my Diamond Vibranium ass? Am I gonna make that kind of deck and rock it? Probably not.
But I think that's what makes battle mode so competitive, so interesting. Is now
Yeah,
you have a place for that.
exactly. So I think between battle mode and like arcade modes and stuff coming out and all that and whatnot, I'm kind of interested to see if that tightens up the play at Infinite. Like if players in Infinite start getting a little more sweaty over it, because there are players there that are sweaty. Like there's people that are ranked like
I mean,
600 something. 600
I mean,
something, bro.
I hope. Otherwise, what's the point of having an infinite rank
Well,
if
I think it
once
also
you get
it feels like it's something to work toward and earn. So like where you see it as like, oh man, I'm angry about that. I see it as, yeah, but if you're like good enough to make it there and earn this little reward, that's like just a little extra icing on the cake aside from like a title or a card back or
I,
whatever it is.
I'm only angry about it because you lose rank leading up to it. So like
Yeah.
right now, I'm in gold, right? I've made it to the top of gold just this morning twice, and I'm falling back down to like the halfway point of gold.
Okay, well, I mean, to flip it,
like 5 times.
I fell into Plat again, and then it was during Plunder Castle because that event can eat my balls, but you know that's coming up later. Not eating my balls. Okay, it's not toss. The hating of Plunder Castle and Plunder Castle is coming up later, but
Yeah, yeah.
I don't really see it as that big a deal because for me, again, you know, my whole background on card games, aside from like Magic and Star Wars trading card game when I was a kid and stuff, is a lot of poker in my 20s. And before the U.S. government said, "Hey, fuck you, everybody," and froze all of our assets so that none of us could get our money out of all those poker sites and et cetera, that everybody was playing on back then, I had hundreds of dollars just chilling that I worked up playing like, you know, 25, 50 cent tables and $1, $2 tables and shit like that, just and playing like, you know, sit and goes and shit. I had hundreds of dollars I built up just grinding out, just chilling. And you know, I wasn't like a rich guy that I could go play like a bunch of like, you know, good stakes tables. Like that was the money I was building up, like going stake higher and table stake higher each time like I got to a threshold, you know. And that's where I come from. So for me, I look at it as I've had my bankroll wiped the fuck out before, dude. Like that's like going back to iron rank in this game. You know what I mean? Like down to zero.
Yeah, yeah. But
know?
I mean, in a sense, that is you losing rank, right? Because if you lose your bankroll, you got to go back down to the low stake table.
But my point is this: if you're good, and we've talked about it before in previous episodes, if you're a certain level of good, you're always going to get back to that certain level, and it's not going to matter. So me, I know like I'm basically a Vibranium player with an infinite mind, and I'm a Vibranium player because I potato shit because I just do.
And a lot of this is my own like
Yeah.
mental. We've had
Yeah.
conversations. We've had conversations.
Yeah. That's why I'm
You
saying
know
for
how
me it
much
doesn't upset me because I don't look at anything anyone else is doing. When I play this game, I mean, yes, I'm looking at their cards and I'm like, okay, what are you trying to do? I'm trying to read them, yes, but what I mean by I don't look at what somebody else is doing is I don't go, what rank is this other person? I don't go, oh, why do they get odds and I don't? I don't look at anything like that. All I look at is the hand that I'm playing, the odds in the hand that I'm playing, and then the overarching odds of everything. All I ever look at is just math, and everything else can go
And
fuck itself for me.
I'm not looking at it as like, why do they get the odds and I don't?
No, I know that. That was just an example of like things that I don't let bother me.
But like, I look at like, I don't know, I'm gold, right?
Yeah.
So I think me and you are a relatively similar level player. I think you are slightly better than me, sure, but I think we're fairly close to each other in terms of given a level playing field, we can go 1-for-1 with each other.
Yeah, but right? I also think too, like I was telling you earlier in the week, I think it's the quality of the practice involved in the time invested, right? So like, and it's not, and you know, when I was saying this before, I said it's not to knock anything you do or how you play or when you play, but the fact that I'm always like networking and playing and looking at what other people are doing and asking questions and playing.
Yeah.
I'm always, I'm like Johnny 5 in Short Circuit. I'm just like, need input, and I'm just getting more and more and more. And that, I think, affects my gameplay more than anything in terms of the difference between us. Because you were like Mythic and Magic, and I was never any good at Magic. I mean, I was okay, but I couldn't build a deck to save my fucking life.
I only hit Mythic once, so I mean...
That's one more time than I did it. I was like bronze or some stupid shit.
I think for me what makes hitting Mythic so this isn't the right word, but monumental for me in terms of like gameplay was the fact that I'm not a person that had been playing Magic my entire life. At that point I don't have been playing Magic for like a year and a half.
Fair. That just makes me feel worse. I've been playing this shit since like fucking 92 or 93 or whatever.
And was, you know, at that moment, I would have been, I looked at the stats, I would have been the top 1% of people, which is insane given the fact that I'd only been playing it for a year and a half.
Yeah.
But I look at where I'm at in Marvel Snap, and I think I'm decent at the
Well, you're in the
game.
top
I'm not,
20% at gold.
but 20% isn't 1%.
But the thing is, and this is the real this is the real one right here. And so when you're talking about gold and whatnot and everything, I have the hardest climb through gold every season. I diamond doesn't bother me as much. Like I know I haven't hit vibranium yet, so you could argue, okay, but isn't diamond hard? Okay, but it's one season, and I'm pretty sure it's the event locations have not been kind to me, like Plunder Castle, like fucking. I was 67, 60. I was right fucking in there, and then that shit fucking dropped me down to fucking plat, bro.
The only season I made it to Diamond was the first season. That was the Khazar deck.
Okay. Well, yeah, and you were in like pool 2, barely 3, so you were in a different area of the game.
Yeah,
And this is again
yeah.
not to knock your gameplay or anyone's gameplay that's ranking up at a low CL,
I
but
think
you
that's
do
part
see
of the
more
problem.
bots. You do see a lot
I
more
think that's
bots.
part of the problem is like I've played so much that like my collector level doesn't match my rank, and so I'm getting
Eh,
higher collector level people,
I
but I'm
mean,
in a lower rank,
eh, I mean, the MMR matches for
or
both
vice
of
versa,
those,
rather.
right? And the thing for me is I've been in an area where I see all kinds of stuff. Like I'm in the thick of it. So like once you're in diamond, you're in the top like 2%, and once you're in plat, you're in the top 5%. And once you're in anything above that, it starts getting incrementally smaller until you're like in a fraction of a percent at the very top, with infinite. And so the thing is, damn it, keep clicking the wrong button. My bad. Anyway, so the thing is, I see Dark Hawks and Knolls and shit I don't got, right? I see things that people have that I don't have. But here's the other thing. I watch players like Alien, right? Who we actually have the clip of him hitting Infinite coming up toward the end of the show. But he hit Infinite this week, and he's free to play, and he's missing like all the cool cards for like half the shit, and he hit Infinite, and he's seeing all the like he's like in the situation you're talking about. You know what I mean? So it's doable. It's like totally doable. So I think
I'm
the
not
matching
saying
is
it's not.
no, I know that,
Yeah.
but I think my larger point is more just that I think the matchmaking is okay for it. I don't think it's gonna like put you in an outclassed situation just because of your collector level. It just means that the odds on chance, just to see those cards is there now, and
I would argue that the deck mirroring is more of a problem than
well, yeah, and we've
in
talked about
in
that
some
before.
ways. In some
It
ways.
is in some ways and it isn't in others because you face like mirrors and counters, but then it's really like, okay, but if you're facing someone playing the similar-ish deck to you, then it really is like whoever the fuck's better is better, you know what I mean? So like I'm okay
Yes.
with it. I'm okay with it. The part that I don't like about it is where you see like direct counters as well, and so it's just like the fuck. The fuck. The fuck.
Yeah. The direct counters is what gets me kind of not more tilted than anything. Where it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
how does the game know? Like the game shouldn't know to match me against the perfect counter deck for
Yeah.
the deck I'm running.
Yeah, it's just I
It's
think it's their way of ensuring that because you are like you were talking about so deep in collector level that you're not running up against null every fucking game, Darkhawk every fucking game. You know what I mean? Because like if you were just running in purely on that CL and MMR with no, you know what I mean, like no deck MMR in any way, you'd be running up against
I get,
that.
I guess I would just rather it be based on your rank rather than collector's level.
I like the fact that it's a little of column A, a little of column B, to be perfectly frank. Does it need to be tuned up some? I'm sure, but they're always, I'm sure, working on that.
Oh,
I'm not too
100%. There's
sweaty
always
over
going to
it.
be balance. There's always going to be
The
balance.
only thing I'm actually in the MMR and ranking and anything that I think that they do need to change. The only thing that I think needs a change and it needs it now. It needs it sooner than later. Yesterday is you should not be deranking 3 ranks every season. That's doo-doo balls, because all it's testing is a player's amount of time and patience. It's not testing their skill necessarily, and that's really unfortunate.
Most only I mean yeah.
You should D-rank 1 and have like a series of placements to decide how D-ranked that D-rank is.
So D-ranking 1 is how most games handle it.
Yeah, Overwatch as a shooter, Magic as a card game. I mean, like, so many things. It just knocks you one level and then puts you through placements to go, now how far down into that level do you go? And that's what they should be doing, because right now they just flat drop you, which one sucks, because if you get flat drop 3 off of Vibranium, you're right above hitting fucking silver, and that's just wild.
I mean, last season I went from gold, because I barely hit gold last season. I went from gold all the way down, to bronze.
Right.
And that was a Wild West getting back to where I am now.
Yeah, I don't even like playing in gold, to be frank, because the difference between 20% player base and 5% player base is like playing a home game of poker versus playing at the casino. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I had a match on the stream earlier before we started recording where the guy should have beat me. He should have beat me. But because he didn't play properly, which I think was just him not knowing his own deck, he didn't. I ended up sweeping him.
Yep.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, I think we actually have that
he had the game in the bag.
Yeah.
But yet I win by sweep because he didn't play his card. And I mean, I get that like brain farts happen, but not like that.
Yeah.
You know. So it's inconsistent. It's consistently inconsistent as to when you're at the lower ranks. Like I seem to be perpetually stuck in of like what kind of player you're gonna get. Like I don't mind losing if I'm losing to people that play well. And I don't mind winning if it's a good game.
Exactly.
I feel bad winning if it's a game that I'm destroying somebody.
Yeah.
Right?
What I don't like doing is having to play a game where some guy is like, I'll just fucking bet 8 cubes on drawing 1 in 7. And then he fucking top decks it and you're like, you piece of shit.
Yeah. and I don't like having to grind all the way back up
Obviously, I'm kidding.
every season because I ran into enough of those people that top decked out.
Yep.
That kept my rank lower because of pure fucking luck. Yeah. Not skill.
Yeah, I had a match like that actually, even at the 5%, 2% area, right? This past week, some dude playing a Dracula deck. Now, I've played Dracula decks. We've featured the Decacidal deck on here before. Like, I am versed in Dracula. I know what's going down with that, right? Now, this guy, I checked his goddamn hand before I finished the freaking, and before I snapped and all this shit. Dude had so many cards in his hand and rocks and shit, like, there was no fucking way Dracula was going to beat me because one, and this is the important part. One, there is literally one card that can beat me in that lane because he had to have at least Infinite. Nothing else could have mathed out for him there, right? So even if it's in his hand, if he's got like 7 ass cards in hand or like 3 ass cards or 5, he should not be going into an 8 cube chance because 8 cubes is a lot of cubes for a 1 in 5, 1 in 7. Like we're talking having to
have to skip a turn to play it. Like
No. You don't have to skip the turn. This is Dracula like eating it at the end of the game. You're not skipping for Infinite. I'm saying Dracula's got the chance for the cards in hand, right? So only one card can beat me. And he's got multiple cards in hand. Yeah. Yeah, so like if he's got 5 cards in hand, he's got a 20% chance. You should not be taking that chance on 8 cubes. You will lose that so many times that it just does not make sense. You shouldn't be taking that on a 1 and 7. You shouldn't even be taking it on a 1 and 4. You shouldn't be taking it on a 1 and 3. You know when you should be taking it is on a 50-50. Only ever
or
on a coin flip. A 1-1 or a coin flip. Those are the only times you should ever take those. And the coin flip's assuming that you got counter snapped into it. You know? Like, I'll take those odds because it's 50-50. That's a coin flip. It's a coin flip for him too, and he knows it. You know what I mean? Like, that's fine. Because you're going to win those half the time. So you take them.
Yeah.
But, and this is the important part, once it goes beyond that, you should not be taking a snap. You should not be snapping into it. You should not be counter snapping. You should be retreating the fuck out because your odds are very slim to win. Instead,
and I'm guessing he was the cause of the 8 cube. Like, I'm guessing he snapped turn 1.
No, he counter snapped. I snapped because I knew he couldn't beat me. I knew he had, like, no chance to draw that card, basically. And then he fucking draws it out, you know, like on Dracula. And I'm just like, bro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he should not have stayed in the hand. Instead, he counter-snapped, and I'm like, I know exactly what you're holding. I know exactly what you played. Why are you counter-snapping? You don't win this.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
The situation that I had similar to that was, he was, you know, my Eat Me Up deck, my Death Zola Venom deck.
Yeah.
Dude was running a very similar deck to that. Yeah, from last week. Dude was running, I would say, pretty much the identical deck to that. Except he had a Taskmaster, which I now have in my death deck. And he Zola'd a weak card. It was like a 2-power card. I think it was like a Yondu. And then Taskmastered it. Or some, because it was like a...
Were you streaming that game? I feel like I saw that happen.
Yeah, I think I was.
Yeah, I remember that game. That was funny.
And I was just like, what is this guy? Like,
I'm going to level with you. I thought that was a bot.
Maybe it was. But it's like, I shouldn't be running, like, I should be running up against people that are my level.
Yeah.
That should be competitive matches. That was not a competitive match.
Yeah. But I think what you said there, to go back to you talking about, wow, if Infinite does it, we shouldn't have to lose rank. Okay, but here's the thing. What you said just goes back to that perfectly because...
I'm not saying
hold up.
No.
Hold up. I know, you're saying everybody should, but hold up. I'm just saying this is why they have to have us lose rank, though. Like, right? Is because if we didn't, if a guy like 8 cubes out going on some Dracula play 5 times, you know, drawn out like a jackass, right? Then now he's stuck in the same area as you. You can't beat his ass back into oblivion. You know, you can't be like, away, beast.
Which is probably what happened with that guy running that death deck. He probably watched a YouTube video on a meta deck, and I probably know what video he watched because I'm pretty sure I watched the same fucking one. But I'm not gonna name drop the video, but I think I know the video he watched. And it's like
when Jeremy's voice goes higher and higher and higher.
That only fucking works if you know the goddamn mechanics of the goddamn game.
You're all, goddamn game! It like went really high. You sound like a tea kettle, man. It's like boiling over.
Shit. It pisses me off.
I know. That's why I was telling our viewers. Listen to his voice get higher and higher. The higher pitched your voice gets, the more pissed off you are, and it cracks me up.
Like, I understand that there are players better than me. Like Malkuvia's better than me. B Rascal better than me. Me and you are neck and neck. You're better than me, though.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's like, I understand that I'm not the world's best player. But I don't want to be playing these stupid people that don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like kind of... I think that happened to you because there was a whole ass season you didn't play much and you got D-ranked, super D-ranked, and now you're stuck there. So you just got to grind your way up so you don't have to deal with it anymore. You know what I mean?
I just,
Sucks.
but the grind. What sucks for me though is like I love the game. You know I love the game. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be doing this podcast if I didn't love
Yeah.
this game.
Yeah.
But the grind burns me out.
Yeah.
Where I'm like,
I was getting burned out because of it before battle mode because I wasn't hitting Vibranium this season, despite the fact that I was playing well, and it was getting to me because it's like, you know what, I should not have to deal with this gold grind because it took me like 3 weeks just to get out of gold just because of all these people playing in ways where I'm like, how am I supposed to predict something I can't do? Like I'm a smart person, and I'm not trying to say this to like toot my horn or pat my back. I'm just saying like, as a smart person, I don't understand how to think not like a smart person. So when someone does things that are not like a smart person in a game, I go, the fuck was that? And I can't learn from that. I like my brain doesn't work that way to learn from that because how am I supposed to like for me, my brain goes, memorizing that is teaching yourself bad game mechanics. Whereas, you know, like that guy's like, I won. And so it just frustrates the fucking piss out of me that I have to even climb through that again. Like, just start me off where I belong. Now, place me plus minus how far up or down from that I should be.
I want to say this. Sorry for derailing the podcast. We didn't plan on talking about this.
No, this is good.
This
is good stuff because I hope Ben Brode hears.
I kind of went on a rant, but to finish my like, this season for me has been that like I'm hitting a point where I love the game, but the like you last season before battle mode I should say, not last season, but before battle mode. You were getting kind of like, this is frustrating. That's me right now. And it's sad because I thoroughly enjoy the game. I'm not saying I'm stopping playing the game because I'm not. I love doing the podcast. But I'm to the point now where I'm just like, I am so frustrated with random shit happening, and like RNG is a thing in card games. I get that. I'm not complaining about RNG.
Yeah, no, just like the randomness of what the other player is thinking as opposed to it being on any kind of logical system.
Yeah, and losing games and losing rank because of that is like,
you know, on a long enough time scale, that guy is getting obliterated into oblivion, but you have to factor in, if you're in silver, you're in like half the player pool, right? So once you're in silver, that's half the player base, which means you're going to be facing a lot of chuckle fucks who don't know what they're doing, don't know how to math, or just like, this is funsies, and you don't belong in a game with them.
Honestly,
and I don't mean any disrespect to that player. Like, play this game how you want. If you want to be a chuckle fuck who bets 8 cubes every fucking time and like gets beaten into oblivion 90% of it, that's fine. I don't care. I just should not have to be knocked down to that every damn season so that I can make my way back up. And we've talked about the math of it. Because if you're infinite and you get knocked down to Vibranium, you're still in the top percent ranks where everything makes sense. All the way down to Omega, you get knocked down to the top rank area where stuff makes sense. But from Vibranium and below your rank, you get knocked down into the general population where everything goes, and it's like being at a water park with a bunch of 4-year-olds. You know they're pissing in the pool. You know they're not supposed to, and you know you just want to go swimming, but you can't because they're all pissing in the fucking pool.
And you know they're laughing about it because
they're all sitting there going, I pissed in the pool. Now you can't come in here. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
And for me, the most fun I've had this season was last night.
Yeah, battle modes was fun, bro.
The battle mode match with you, where it was your top deck against a deck that I had literally just thrown together like not even 2 minutes before. Yeah, you actually
beat me, and I told you, see, any given Sunday, like I told you, you can beat the guy better than you.
But that to me shows my level of the game. The fact that I can craft a deck minutes before.
Yeah, if you can hang with Zabu Jet, in a fucking world with like Absman, Zabujet, and all that going on, if you can hang with that nastiness, then yeah, you're good at the game. Because
But my
I can just
rank
like
doesn't
autopilot
show it.
that.
But my rank doesn't show it, and that's what
Yeah,
gets me
yeah,
because
mine either. But
so I know
it,
I know in a day's time I'm gonna be knocked down to fucking bronze again,
yeah, yeah,
and I'm gonna have to go through this bullshit all over again
yeah. I'm not looking
just to get
forward to it,
knocked back
but
down to bronze.
I'm not looking forward to it. But I also kind of just don't care anymore. Mostly because until I know that Ben Brode understands that he mathed this wrong, that what really happens is the bottom ranks that can't get knocked down anymore, and the ranks that get knocked down into those bottom ranks because they're at the bottom, they're all in the same place with the same people they were already playing. They're the only ones, them and the people that are in Infinite, they are the only ones who get to continue to play in the same pool. So
Yep.
Infinite's up there with like the nice lifeguard, the fucking like gated community pool where like they're like, no, 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 you don't live here, get the fuck out. No, 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 no. And we have
Fucking high rise, like
we have a house shack thing on the back of the pool for peeing in. Okay, we have a bathroom right there. You can change your clothes too.
yeah,
We have a pool house. Knock it off,
fucking
Yeah,
high rise, like
yeah, yeah,
gated area.
yeah. Meanwhile, at the bottom, it's the 4-year-olds peeing in the public pool on 4th of July or some shit. And it's just like, come on, man. It's like
And
the
then you've
summer
got
barbecue,
us
bro.
in the middle that are like striving
Yeah.
to be
Yeah, we're saving
upper
we're
echelon.
saving up our cubes so we can get into that gated pool, but we're not there yet. But we also know don't pee in the damn pool, and we usually we're swimming with people where like it's that like monthly membership pool, but it's not the gated community pool, and you're like, yeah, man, what's up? Yeah, don't pee in the pool. I know the rules. Don't pee in the pool. You get kicked out, you lose your gym membership. Don't pee in the pool. That's what's up. What's up? Don't pee in the pool. Hey man, how you doing today? Don't pee in the pool. Hey, what's up, dude? I remember you from like 3 matches ago. Don't pee in the pool. But
Yeah,
you get
yeah.
down below that, and everybody's like, I pissed in the pool, and you had to take it. And it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
come on, man.
And the thing is like I understand that I'm like sort of playing behind the eight ball in some senses because the majority of the time I can't say I'm money free because I have bought the battle pass once,
Yeah, but I'm a
twice now
whale, and I
because I
have to
bought
suffer
Battle.
this.
Um, I've bought battle pass twice now, so I can't say I'm money free, but and it was gifted to me the third time because you gifted it to me for Christmas.
Yeah, well,
Um,
you had to have surfer.
Silver Surfer.
Yeah, you had to
Thank you
have
for
surfer.
that, by the way.
No
Um,
problem, man.
but it's like I would say, I don't plan on buying the pass every month. So I know that there are going to be top cards that I'm going to miss for a couple of seasons until they get brought down to pool level that like I can
Yeah,
obtain,
yeah,
right?
right.
Whether it be because
Modoc
some
or that
cards
Green
don't
Day
get
card.
in pool. Yeah, yeah. Because
Nimrod.
like for example, Silver Surfer started in pool five, right? Like was instantly put into pool five, didn't get sidelined. But Zabu isn't in a pool. You could only get him from getting the battle pass.
Right.
So it's like there are going to be cards that are going to be like Zabu that you'll only be able to get for a period of time from the battle pass.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss out on those cards because
Yeah.
I'm not always gonna buy the battle pass.
Yeah. Well, they get
I
added to
don't
pool
know.
5 and stuff, so you don't miss out on them completely, but you miss out on like the 100% chance at
But
it.
but you do miss out on them for a bit because they don't add them to pool five until
No, no,
after
no, no, no. Zabu's already in pool 5. Season hasn't even ended yet, bro.
Okay, because the way I
No.
understood it was they
Well,
weren't adding it until what,
that's how it was. That's how it was. But this one,
next
nope, they already
season.
did. They already did. Zabu's in pool. I had a viewer actually pull Zabu already. So
Okay, well that's all right, fine.
so they actually do seem to be adding them a little more quickly. I think maybe the reason with Zabu is because it had a 50% use rate and it felt kind of dirty for it to be behind a paywall.
Because like
At least
Black
5 weeks in.
Panther wasn't added right away, right? it was the next season they added him. So
Well,
for
no, no,
the
they
season,
get immediately added to pool 5. They just don't get immediately like D ranked. So Black Panther didn't get D ranked to pool 4, right? Miles Morales didn't get D ranked to pool 3 for a while. You see what I'm saying? Like, but
so,
they as soon as the season's over, they hit pool 5, and then with Zabu they did it a week early
so then why the hell did poor fucking She-Hulk get deranked twice in the span of like 2 weeks? Like,
because people showed how game breaking it was. That's pretty much it. But yeah,
I would argue she's not game breaking. She's beatable.
she's not
But
game breaking now. She was game breaking originally because you could play her and Infinite on the same turn, bro. Literally. And how do you beat that? You have to predict
I
where they
guess
play it
if
with
you, yeah,
Shang-Chi.
because
It
it
was
would have been zero.
trust me, it was game breaking. But at any rate,
Yeah,
the battle pass coming up after the Quantumania one
yeah.
has been
Sorry, I
announced
kind of derailed the yeah.
for like an hour, but that's okay. So the battle pass coming up after Quantumania is the Nimrod battle pass. And for anyone not familiar, Nimrod is more than a Green Day album or an insult for disabled people. So interesting card, interesting card.
Oh,
But at any point, this one will be from March 6th, so 3/6 until April 3rd. So we'll have a 5-on-5 reveal that, when destroyed, adds a copy to each other location. So it's like Doc Ock if you destroy it and then don't keep your Doc Ock, which is kind of, I think, kind of poop. So I'm not sure if this is going to be what it looks like on launch. It might get the She-Hulk treatment, but in a positive way, because
I don't know. That would be a replacement for Zola in a death deck,
to an extent, but it only kills itself, right? So
but that's fine because it's five
I
power.
think like it has like the ability to change the dynamic of things if you're finding that Spider-Man is an issue or other lane lockers. So like it does have value. My only issue is you have to destroy it for the value, not just play it. And two, there's literally a card that does the same thing and lets you keep the original, which is Doc Doom. So it just doesn't make sense to me, is what I'm getting at. And for like a little extra like head game on that, if you take away the reveals in the lane that he's played and whatnot, and you can't Mr. Negative because he's 5/5 and whatnot. So like without like a Sarah or something like that, and Sarah you play on turn
Yeah.
5. So how do you get this guy out quick enough, to make him better than Doc Doom? And two, if someone drops a Cosmo on you before you can get that split off, you could have just dropped Doc Doom where they didn't Cosmo. You see what I'm saying? Like
The
I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
the only theory crafting use I see him being used for is in something like my eat me up deck, where it's like you lay him turn 5, right? Say you've killed a few cards on him. You lay him turn 5. Your death is still going to cost you, I don't know, we'll say 3. You have a Venom or a Deathlock still in your hand because you're playing your death deck, right? You're
Yeah.
probably still going to have a card left to destroy other cards
Yeah.
left in your hand, right?
Yeah.
So you play him in a location that hopefully has other cards in it, which lowers your death theoretically down to 0, right? So
I
next turn
mean,
on turn 6, you'll be able to play death, have
yeah, but you
10
can't split him until the same turn 6 that you play Death. So I just don't understand the value in this card at 5 energy.
Well, it's that it allows you to basically it's more of a defense play in that it lets you close gaps um
I
to
think it really just counters lane
cause
locks.
cards.
That's really all I think it does.
I mean, yeah, that is a use for it for sure. But like you said, there are better lane locking cards. Like I'm running a discard deck right now, and like Hella is that like lane locker counter
Right, right.
because she pulls cards wherever, whether the lane's locked or not, unless
Yeah.
it's
And
perpetual.
short of the Telegraph of Zola, you don't really have that same sort of thing in a death deck. So, like, I can see the value in it being in a Destro death deck in that you can have a two avenue, like approach to like
I
splitting
do agree.
cards to lane locked areas,
I do
which
agree
is
the
kind of weird.
cost is I do agree the cost is a bit heavy for being
That's
five.
the issue for me because to work in a Destro deck most effectively, I mean,
It it probably should be like a three cost.
I was thinking even four works, but three cost might keep it out of the Zabu
Four,
area, so three might be nice.
four is a stretch. Four is a stretch,
Well,
I think.
well, four's not necessarily a stretch. It's just then it becomes a Zabu card, and then you've got that going on, and all of a sudden it's way cheaper, and now you've got a lot of extra shit. So I
I
think
mean, then you
three
could
keeps
argue
it
that
from
it might
that.
be too powerful. Then you could argue, like if it's a three, say for example they drop it to three cost, right?
Yeah, if it's three costs, it's
Not
competing
only
with or Deathlock. It's competing with other stuff. It doesn't necessarily make it playable every time. So I think like
I
there it would be better.
I, I really like it as a three cost
Yeah, you could.
for
Yeah, because then
for
you could like. So a lot of times you don't deathlock in your Destro deck, right? Because you draw them late and you've already established a lot
yeah.
of shit and you can't really do much with them. You could in an empty lane drop him and Nimrod if they both cost three. You could drop them for a late play to split it, and I could see the value in that. But at 5/5, it's just kind of like there's so many better
But
ways to do that.
also if he was a three cost, you could do an interesting weird meta combo of like a Death Distro deck, right, with a Silver Surfer component.
Yeah, that's true. You could Silver Surfer it and make it 8. That would help you in lane lock areas with Brood and make them competitive. But at the same time, you'd
Yeah,
run into Silver
yeah.
Surfers running Brood and using that too. I mean, could be interesting. Could be interesting. So I think the things we're saying might be why they put it 5 cost. So
I
it's
mean,
kind of like I don't know what you do there. I don't know what you do
if he
there.
was four cost, you could do the same thing with like a Death Zabu.
Yeah, and that
He's
would
three
be
cost, you
OP.
could do Death Silver Surfer, right?
Yeah, so I think the devs probably ran in the same thing we're talking about here, and are just like, well, fuck, if you do this, that's too OP. If you do that, that's kind of OP. I guess 5 then, because it's harder to get off. But I mean,
But
I
then
guess that just
five does severely limit him.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you might see him in like more of an electro ramp situation. In that case, you're gonna see like the electro get knocked to the other side with what is it? Is it Viper or Polaris? Whichever one I mix them up.
Viper. Yeah,
Yeah,
Viper.
Viper knocks it over, or you might see like Enchantress hit that. Your own Enchantress hit that and knock it away, and then you can play more than one card, or you might see like a Psylocke into Nimrod kind of play potentially on a combo play coming off like turn 4, a 2 cost Psylocke and a 2 cost something else, like say, oh, you got your Carnage finally for the lane that had the stuff you've been waiting for Carnage on that turn. All right, I want to play Psylocke and Carnage on turn 4. It's cool. Now on turn 5, or I mean on turn 5, you'd have like enough energy to play Nimrod and like one other, like your Deadpool or something, to set up the next turn to like whichever card gets split. I don't care. Or
But again, it is like the only situation currently that it works in is a death deck.
well, yeah,
Whereas,
well, yeah, because it's you got to destroy it, so it is a Destro card, but not the only situation. So here's
but
another here's another one. You could
it's
run it in
limited.
destroyer decks.
Yeah, you could do.
You don't get
Yeah,
your armor. Destroyer's still not like zero value anymore because well, if I kill Nimrod, I still get more Nimrods. So now you can play destroyer where Nimrod is, lock that lane, split to the ones on the outside, maybe even buff your armored lane that you couldn't get beefy enough or something. You know what I mean? Like gives you a whole
yeah.
other layer of play with I think the destroyer cards. So I could see it in two types of decks. So it's got value, but It's weird.
I guess my point is lower energy would make it a
Yeah.
really nice, compelling card.
Yeah, but when you think
But
about the destroyer curve, playing this turn 5 into a turn 6 destroyer, that's not a bad late curve, honestly.
no, it's not. I still think that my Death Venom Zola combo beats it.
Well, yes, but if you think about a destroyer player now, so just thinking about it from the terms of like just not necessarily meta gaming it, but what someone finds entertaining or what cards they particularly enjoy, what they find fun, because it is a game, right? So this gives a
Yeah.
player who plays a destroyer deck another avenue to like win out lanes on that turn 6 if they didn't draw armor, or then if they did draw armor to buff that lane even more and get a little extra something with destroyer. Like, and the cool part is you can have a 20-point infinite style play on turn 6 with destroyer with this card, right? Because this card, you don't have to play destroyer on top of it. You can play destroyer anywhere. So if you play destroyer
Mhm.
a lane away, now it's a 20-point play where you play destroyer. So if you have an armored lane that's tall as fuck already, can't be Shang-Chi, all that stuff, nice. You play destroyer the lane away from Nimrod. Now Nimrod goes to your armor lane, even taller, and goes to your destroyer play. That's a 20-point play plus 5, so it's a 25-point play, but 20 in that one lane. I mean, that's on par with Infinite. That's pretty saucy. So I could see the value in this with destroyer, but outside of that, not as much value. But I think if you start lowering the cost, I think its intended purpose gets a little wonky, because I'm pretty sure its intended purpose is to make destroyer players have more than one curve.
I do agree with that, although I'm gonna keep a close eye on this one, I think, because
Oh,
personally I would
absolutely.
love to see it have a little bit more versatility.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see what happens if it releases this way or not. But could, might not. Um, I forgot to OBS them, so oops. But there is a Wolverine and Sentinel variant coming out. Let me see if I can just actually find it real fast.
Oh, he's finding the variants. There is something that I wanted to mention about Wolverine that we've mentioned in previous weeks, but I just want to do a bit of a reminder, and that is that Wolverine has recently got a buff, and it's a quite powerful buff in that now when you destroy or discard Wolverine, he increases his power by the same like by two each time you destroy or discard him. So if you're running him in a death deck, he can help build your lane high because
No,
you can keep destroying him over, over,
it's
and over
true.
and over. And if you're venoming like once
It's
or
true.
twice, like if you manage to do the Zola Venom play that I love so much, and you've got you know
Here,
Wolverine
grow this
in
a
one
little
of
bit
those lanes,
so you can
or
see
if
it.
Zola copies Wolverine instead of Venom, like say you Venom Wolverine once, he becomes a 4, but he lands back on the same lane as Venom, and then you Zola, hoping that Zola will
Yeah.
take Venom, not Wolverine, but he takes Wolverine. It now gives you a 6 power instead of a 4 power on both lanes. So even if you get the wrong RNG and you don't get Venom, you still get a decent amount of power that could help you pull a win. Whereas before he was a two power card, that generally wasn't going to be enough to swing you a victory. Whereas now you actually have a chance to swing a victory
Yeah.
off of bad RNG
Yeah.
in a Death Wolverine deck for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely. And I think the cool part is, like, lore wise, it puts a fix in the game too, because everyone knows that Wolverine and Sabretooth are, related, right? But they also know that Wolverine is better than Sabretooth. Everybody fucking knows that. But in the game, that
I'm
wasn't
actually,
the way it
yeah.
was. You know what I mean? And it's because of the adamantium. Let's be clear. It's not just because Wolverine. It's because of the adamantium, right? Sabretooth doesn't got that going. He's just got his handy claws.
Like,
But
Sabretooth honestly is pointless at this point.
yeah,
I'm
no, he
expecting
really is.
kind of
Unless you
too.
do not have Deadpool. If you do not have Deadpool, then Sabretooth is like your budget Deadpool. But I mean, budget Deadpool's not necessarily the way to go in that case. But back to the Nimrod season stuff. I did find the graphic, and so there's a lot of cool stuff actually. There's some card backs. There's a really cool Sentinel card back. There's a really fucking cool X-Men style card back that I'm looking forward to having. Um, there is a really cool Sentinel variant. A really cool. I want to say it looks chibi, but I'm not positive. Nimrod variant, and then there's a Wolvie variant, and so all of those variants also have avatars, as you can see here. There's pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Um, but speaking of cool stuff, we do have bundles coming up. So the first one is Positively Charged. And this one is starting February 7th, so it's just like literally around the corner. And it goes till the end of the month, February 28th. Positively Charged features our boy Mr. Negative, and a sweet looking variant for him. This one's going to cost 8,000 gold, so definitely save your gold during the month and off of the new season pass and etc. Because remember, you're going to get a ton of gold off that season pass. So save that shit up toward the end of the month for this or the Deadpool one. We'll talk about a couple from now. But it costs 8,000 gold, but you get 3,000 tokens. That is a pool 4 card right off the jump. That is half of a pool 5 card. That's halfway to Darkhawk. That's halfway to getting to Infinite just by like going like this and clicking buttons. Just covering your eyes and clicking buttons. So, I mean, that'll be great. That'll be great for anybody that's looking to try to get a little bit of an advantage, or they got something, super saucy in their token shop that they haven't been able to get yet. You also get 6,000 credits, which, as we know, is probably about 150, 200 CL, somewhere in there. You get 155.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to put this into perspective. 8,000 gold will cost you 139.99 plus tax Canadian dollars.
Yeah, it's gonna be 100 bucks American, and so like the thing is, if you save your gold, so like I know Jeremy's got like he's pushing 2,500 gold right now.
27.
Oh shit! Okay. Let me put it. Let me just like rewind that real quick. So he had like 2,300 ish gold when I was like, that's the last time I knew what he had, like 2 days ago, to make the point I was about to make. And then he corrects me and goes 2,700. So he's already like up 400 gold in that span of time. So that's a perspective on how quickly you can gain your gold just playing the game, not spending any money. So if you do that by the 28th, you should have a lot of gold saved up. Will you be able to afford this package straight up off the jump? Maybe
Probably
not,
not.
but it'll make it really cheap. But it might be enough 100% to get you the Deadpool one, which we'll talk about again coming up. But 155 boosters for Mr. Negative. You get the title Be My Valentine. That's kind of cool. And the variant and avatar are Luca Claretti artwork. And they're really cool. They're really cool. Kind of has like Overwatch Hanzo vibes kind of thing going on here. Or like, not Hanzo, Genji vibes. My bad. But the skin looks kind of like that. Like, like I don't know. He just looks like Yakuza Mr. Negative or something. I don't know. It's pretty dope though. It's pretty dope. I'm not going to lie. And the avatar will be like, probably like his head. Just like the APOC one and the Sunspot one. All right, so for the next bundle, we have Westview Story, like a play on West Side Story, but Westview because Scarlet Witch and Vision. I do like what they did with the card on this one. They made the Vision name like translucent. In the past ones, they didn't, and that the name just looked clunky. So I'm glad that they did that right on this one. They are Art Germ variants, and you get avatars of the same. They look pretty cool. I like Artgerm's art, but I think the Vision one does not look nearly as good as Scarlet Witch. I think like Vision kind of has that old school look on him, and it's really hard to pull that one off. There's so much fucking yellow, you know. It's hard for him to not look like a banana lime. You know, like, and that's no insult to Artgerm. Like, the Scarlet Witch is beautiful. I think like if you have an inked variant of this Vision, it's gonna look dope. You know what I mean? I think just like there's just maybe it's just I'm just not particularly a big fan of the old Vision
Yeah,
look.
the classic Vision look is not. It doesn't hold up to
Yeah,
modern standards.
yeah. I think the actual like art, the drawing, the skill, like I love the way his outstretched hand looks. Like it's really beautifully done. I'm just not a big fan of classic Vision, so I think that's really all it is. Definitely not an insult to Artgerm. Like Artgerm does
I would
great
agree.
work.
I would agree.
Uh,
I'm more of a
yeah,
modern MCU Vision guy.
yeah. This one's 2,000 gold, and it's a Valentine's style event, so it's gonna run Valentine's Day, February 14th till the 21st. So it's a 1 week thing. Same as this next one coming up, which is called Steamy Hell's Kitchen. So I'm sure
This
you can
one
guess.
interesting.
I'm sure you can guess who's in there if it's Steamy's Hell's Kitchen. Huh?
Yeah, Electric Daredevil. Yeah.
Yep. These ones are really nice. I couldn't get info on the artist yet. It just said variants in the data mine information and the stuff on Marvel Snap Zone. So this is what I got. But it looks pretty cool. I like the little feather behind Daredevil. Like, you know, it's cute because he could hear a pin drop, right? He could feel or hear a feather floating through the air kind of thing. I like that subtle little bit to the art. Also costs 2,000 gold. Gives you the title, Are You My Soulmate? And then to go back to the Westview Story one, that one gives the title, I Love You. So kind of basic, but, you know, right on brand.
I think out of the ones that are coming out, the two that I'm interested in are the first one and the next one you're gonna talk about.
Yeah, and this
They
next
do-
one I'm definitely getting, but that's 'cause Deadpool's like my favorite. So, you know, gonna have to get
I
it.
don't have Deadpool yet, so I'm very interested in picking them up because it would give
That's
me
true.
a Deadpool.
Deadpool is very, very, very powerful in Destro decks. He's
Yeah,
extremely powerful. Like he's a 1/1, yes, but every time you kill him, he comes back doubled. So here's some like interesting ways of doing it. If you happen to play him down the same time you already have a Nova in play, and you've already like killed Deadpool before this like once or twice, and then you Killmonger, he gets buffed, disappears, and boop. And so like you know, dude just gets bigger and bigger.
yeah.
It's a really cool gameplay element, but also this variant looks really cool. Now I'm gonna go out on a limb based on everything he's sitting on, and the way the leg shape and the way the hands are. I'm going to guess this is Scotty Young, but that's because he's like my favorite artist, and this has him all over it. It does not look like a Liefeld, so I don't think Rob Liefeld did this one. This one's going to cost 3,200 gold. This is the one that, like, if you're not going to put any money on top of saving your gold, this is the one to get instead of the one we talked about before, because this also comes with tokens. It's 1,500, so it's only halfway to a pool 4, but that's still a sizable amount, especially if you're a player who's finished pool 3. If you finish pool 3, 1,500 collector tokens goes a long way when you're already pulling down 4, 6, 5, 1, 4, 5, 3, 2, 6. I pulled down 1,000 collector's tokens and back-to-back collector caches of tokens. Not back-to-back caches themselves, but back-to-back token caches, like the ones that actually gave me the tokens. Back-to-back, I got like 4 and 6, so it was like 1,000. So you can have some really big swings when you're in pool 3 for that. So even just 1,500 is pretty cool at that point. The variant, fucking awesome. Will Merc for food, you know, like it's great. The title, Merc with a mouth, beautiful. You get the avatar of same, and you get 291 Deadpool boosters, so you can really like buff up this specific Deadpool card. And I'm sitting on like 50 Deadpool boosters right now, and had the chance to upgrade him last night. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait because I know what's coming out.
I think this is the one that I will probably end up getting because I don't think I'll have enough gold to get the main one.
Yeah.
And I don't have Deadpool yet. So unless I pull Deadpool from now to then, this is probably the one that I'll grab.
Yeah.
Because I should have enough gold by then.
Yeah. And the cool part about
And
go ahead.
it's more affordable basically for
Yeah.
a person
Oh yeah.
trying to be as much money,
Yeah.
like no money spent as possible.
Right. And if you are a pay player like me that puts some money into this game, one of the cool elements of this pack is that it runs from February 22nd till March 3rd. So basically, they're like, if you spent like $100 on the first one, it's cool. We'll let you wait some pay periods and earn some more money, and then we'll get you again.
That's the other thing too, right? Is like the way I get paid because I'm on disability. I get paid on the first of every month, right?
Yep.
So this one is actually achievable for me. That if I had to put a little bit of money into the game, I could.
I have to sing it
because I wouldn't have to put $140 in.
Yeah,
right? I would only have to put like 30.
Yeah.
Most.
Yeah. So this, and for me, it'll allow me to probably get both packs if I want them, which is yay. And I do. I want all those.
Gotta love that Canadian dollar. It's fucking garbage.
Gotta love that U.S. dollar and the game being developed here. Woo! All right, so that's pretty much all the news that's fit to print. In fact, a little more than was fit to print. I'm pretty sure J. Jonah Jameson just ran out of ink. The transcribers came to him and are getting us fired as we speak. So we'll be back with Smoke Strat for Success. This week on Smokey Strategy for Success, we have Snap Verbiage. And I know everybody hates Snap Verbiage because it's confusing sometimes. The language is ambiguous. So what we have, are some patch changes that came out. If you missed them on the patch on the 31st, the big patch. For ambiguous language, specifically things they address. So with Wolverine, they put, and I quote, "Note, we have updated his text from play to regenerate to better reflect his gameplay functionality. This is purely a flavor and clarity choice." They just want you to know that when that card goes to the other place, he's not being played. That way, if you have a card that requires, an interaction of played card, like say Angela, you're not going, wait, why doesn't she get +2 when he goes there? Well, because he's regenerating, he's not playing. So that's an interesting and important distinction, which they also elaborated on and said, and I quote again, in addition to Wolverine, a few cards use the word play in their text, but don't actually play anything. And this small update aims to avoid players misinterpreting how these cards interact with triggers that specifically specify playing a card. And those cards are Hela, Jubilee, and Sentry. So with Hela, it says she plays all cards discarded, but she doesn't play anything. None of those cards count as played. They don't have effects as played cards. Jubilee, she pulls a card in because it's Sadie Hawkins and she asks him to the dance, but in no way is she playing him. She's serious. She wants to go to the Sadie Hawkins dance. She's not playing him at all. There's no play. And then Sentry, using more consistent language for similar effects and all that. So with Sentry, the language there, because you play Sentry and it copies itself to your hand, and then you play Sentry, and so they had to clarify that one too, because it's not playing the card to your hand, it's copying it.
So they also clarified this a little bit in the Q&A, where they mentioned that they gave definitions versus play and feel, where they're like, in order for a card to be considered played, it has to also done its reveal effect.
Yes.
So reveals are priority over play. So they did clarify that in order for a play to be finished, the reveal also has to happen.
Yeah.
Um, in the Q&A that we talked about
Right.
earlier.
And then going to some locations that were in the patch, going back to the patched language. So the raft, it removed the word draw for accuracy because the raft does not draw you a card. So if you were ever playing the raft and are like playing collector or something like that that has an effect for putting cards in the hand, you know, like collector, he'll get that buff because it's a card that entered your hand without it. But if you have a card that requires something to be drawn and you get the card from the raft, that's not, nope, no dice because it's not actually drawn, it's just given to you. It's not coming from your deck. It's not drawn from a deck. It's not drawn from their deck. It's not cabled. It's nothing like that. It's you know, it's a Moon Girl of an RNG variety kind of play. It's more akin to that. It's a copy. It's not a draw. And then on Vibranium Mines, they removed a card just for the brevity of it because it was a bit of a long flavor text. But then the next stuff up is the stuff you can actually see here on the screen right now. This is the stuff that we're going to talk about. That's me, Smokey, that I wrote out this week. This is all some really interesting and good stuff that plays on the stuff that the patch and the Q&A talked about. So one that is pretty common and they didn't address in any way, shape, or form in the patch because it doesn't need addressing is the difference between any X cost card and cards that cost X. So when the flavor text says any X cost card, they're specifically referring to the card's original energy cost value as is independent of even being in a game. Just sitting on a shelf, unused, in your collection, energy cost. Now, when it says cards that cost X, that's where it gets a little more interesting. So, this is a card that's like, say you're playing Zabu a lot this season, and you're making cards that cost 4, cost 2 instead. Well, when a card costs 2 instead of 4, you're getting a cheaper option and etc. But also, you're not affecting their any X cost card. So if something says any 4 cost card can't play here, and you use Zabu, and it's now a card that costs, 2, it's not a card that costs 2 for that location. It's a 4 cost card because it's any X cost, right? So if it says any 4 cost card couldn't be played here for some reason, right? That literally means any 4 cost card like Moon Girl, right? Dracula, anything that Zabu would affect could not be played there. But if it says cards that cost 4 cannot be played here, well, that's a different story. If it says cards that cost 4 can't be played here, well, now you can play all those Zabu affected any 4 cost cards, right? Because they're now 2 costs. Or if you have Quinjet and Moon Girl, they're 1 costs on the dupes, right? So those cards now cost that amount. That's that. So if it says any X cost card, so if it says any 4 cost card can't be played here, even if you've Zabu'd them, they can't be played there. But if it says cards that cost 4 can't be played here, and you've Zabu'd them, you can now play them there because they don't actually cost that now. So just as a quick and dirty TLDR, any X cost means as it is on the shelf. Cards that cost X means as it is affected by buffs and game mechanics. The next one is played cards versus copied, pulled, Helid, and Ghost Rider cards, which we touched on a bit before. The important distinction here is that played cards will do their reveals and whatnot, like Jeremy was saying, versus cards that are copied and pulled will do them like later in order, and in some cases not at all, depending on how the copy mechanic worked. I believe pulled cards, as in Doc Ock pulls cards, those will reveal, but a copied card does not always reveal. It's weird, and I hope that they clarified that a bit more. But say when you Zola destroy a Venom, it copies it, but it doesn't say the word copy, and so Venom reveals and eats everything again. But sometimes things that say copied specifically in the text don't reveal.
Venom specifically says play instead of copy.
Yes, but I'm talking about the
Which is why
Zola.
you get the reveal.
Yes, but I'm also talking about the Zola. Zola
I mean,
destroys it and splits
Zola.
and plays it,
Yeah,
right?
it says Zola says destroys and plays at the other two
Exactly,
locations.
exactly. And so that's the distinction, is if it says like played versus copied, or etc. And then they've updated the text for the ones like Hella and all of that. Now as far as like some really interesting ones, like really niche sort of things that you might not realize off the top from the language ambiguity in certain places. Here's an interaction that might not occur off the jump that you can take advantage of if you see it or if there's an event for it. So Weird World and Jubilee. Now, Jubilee always draws from, quote, your deck. Weird World makes you draw from your opponent's deck. But since you're not physically swapping decks, you're in possession of your deck. Your deck is still your deck. Ergo, Jubilee draws cards from your deck, not your opponent. So if you have a Jubilee in hand, or if they have a Jubilee you got from their deck, you can technically still draw out your cards you need onto the playing field, because Jubilee is not drawing from the Weird World, it's drawing from your deck, because you don't actually physically swap decks. You're just taking cards from each other, like reaching across the table like, thank you sir, you know what I mean? And then Jubilee comes out and she goes, excuse me, I'll take it from my own deck please. Ooh, I like that card. Boom. Because she's not about to ask somebody to Sadie Hawkins who she doesn't know.
Yes.
And so that's pretty much it for Smoke Strat. Just beware of the specificities of language, and if you have any interactions like this that you've seen that you think would be interesting to talk about, or that we should update everybody on, please definitely let us know in the comments, and we will throw it down in a future Smoke Strat segment. Up next, though, we have the accessible vacation locations.
This week for Invoke's accessible locations.
All right,
We have Asgard
Porky.
every time. Swear to God.
Every week.
We have Asgard. I'm blanking on the actual effect of Asgard.
On turn 4, whoever is winning here draws 2 cards.
That's it. So this is great for mid-game decks, like decks that rely on like mid to late game draws to win. Or works great with a Zabu deck too. Because you don't have a lot of 4-cost cards. The more you draw, the more you can lay, because those 4-cost cards become 2 cards. Also works great with Dino decks. Because the more cards you have in your hand, the stronger Dino is.
Yep. Draw decks in general. Not all of them necessarily use Dino.
Draw decks in general, but specifically Dino is
Or you could do what I sometimes did, was just ignore the place completely and be like, haha, you're going to go for it with cards. You're going to set yourself up there. You're not going to go for your ideal play because you're going to want to draw, and then I just play away from it. Or if I wasn't curving out, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to take Asgard because I need that curve out on turn 4 or whatever.
I think more often than not, for me, strategy-wise, I tend to ignore it or go in knowing I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm often playing a lot of decks that I don't really need to draw cards. Like, I can generally know by my opening hand whether I'm going to win or lose.
Yeah.
Although I'm playing my deck we'll see later on in the next segment, where that one I probably should focus a little bit more on Asgard, because I'm often not getting the RNG draws that I need, or I'm getting them like I don't want, for example, Hela in my opening hand because Hela will often get discarded, and I need Hela late game to
Right.
actually do the opposite of being discarded.
Right.
So, like, Asgard is a location that for that specific deck that we'll talk about in the next segment, like I should try to focus on and win. But most other situations, I'm like you. I tend to focus on the other two lanes
Yeah.
more than Asgard.
Yeah, because it gives
Um,
away what the opponent's going to do if they go for Asgard and lane there, so it makes it a little easier for you to take advantage of
yeah,
that. It's just intel.
yeah.
And then there's the
Now,
usual suspects, right? You know, like
yeah, there are usual suspects to counter it, like Rhino, Scarlet Witch, Storm, Quake.
yeah,
You know,
Quake's fun because you could be laning mid, or better yet, you could be laning left a little bit, and then just drop her in the mid and flop Asgard from right to left and be like teehee, you know? Or you could be playing right for whatever reason, early turns, not knowing what the flips are going to be because you have Quake, right? And you can flip Asgard to the right, and so you just flip Asgard to the right where you've been playing. It's like teehee, I get cards and you don't, and now that guy like didn't do his ideal curve. You might even just like coax out a retreat from the guy. So Quake could
I
have some
mean,
good value with that.
you could if your opponent decides not to play Asgard, you could Professor Exit if you can get away if you can lower his cost.
That's true.
Like if you get a location that lowers his cost, or you
Or
have
if
a
you
card
Mr.
that would lower.
Negative and like
Yeah,
have like Psylocke or something out early on like a double reveal if you got lucky or something like that. Some weird niche situation.
you would have to get lucky to do it, but that would be another like off chance counter to it because you could lock the lane and still get the victory because
Yeah.
he's a 3 power.
Yeah.
But if you lock it soon enough,
Yeah. I mean, you could do
like
like if
three.
you're trying to aim for that, you could do Jubilee and just hope that you have her in hand turn 4, drop her there turn 4, pull out the professor, and be like, ha ha.
As long as they're not aggressively, going for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right?
Which means you might, if you're gonna try that combo, you might actually want to run Quake so that you can flop the lanes over into a Professor X situation.
For me, Asgard is just about gathering intel.
Yeah,
Um,
I tend to not put too much thought into it, like all this Quake stuff. But if you were trying to,
o- o-
that's one way.
Often Asgard can tell you what kind of deck they're running because
Yeah,
depending on what kind of cards they waste.
yeah, exactly. Because they might waste cards they otherwise would hold on to, and that gives you
Yep,
knowledge. That's good.
yep.
Yeah. Then the other one was
And
Plunder Castle, right?
the other one is Plunder Castle, which is a location that I really don't want
Yeah.
to talk
No,
about.
no. Let me read the description of Plunder Castle real quick. So, this location, on location, fuck this location. No, really. I think that's the flavor text for the location is fuck this location. No, really. But also, I mean, you can do some stuff there. You can Magneto there at the end, knowing that they might be ignoring Plunder Castle. Just move everything
Yeah,
and win.
yeah.
Um,
Magneto's a good play. Like I said, Hela can be a good play.
Captain Marvel into
Uh,
another 6 cost card, or into an actual 6 cost card could be a good play because Captain Marvel can just
i-
move there.
if you're still running an Infinite deck, which you don't see very often nowadays, but if by chance you are, Infinite can be a decent play. The problem is you have to skip turn 5. Um, Sunspot, but Sunspot's not really viable because you're gonna probably run into a Killmonger. You'd have to have the right curve for that to work, but
Yeah.
it could work. Um, like a that other card. You could theoretically no, because She-Hulk's a 5. Never mind, that doesn't work.
Well, she's a 6, but she gets reduced based on your energy not used. So you could play her there. The
Okay.
problem is, to go back to the previous segment, the problem is With Plunder Castle, again, the language reads very specifically only cards that cost 6. So the problem with She-Hulk is that she will not cost 6 on the turn if you're going to actually play her. And if she does cost 6, she's only 10 power for that, so there's no point. So she's not really viable on Plunder Castle, unfortunately, purely because she can never get played there because of the fact that it says only cards that cost 6 instead of cards like only cards that are 6 cost, right?
I think basically what we're saying is Wonder Castle is playable if you have the right cards, but more often than not, just fuck off. Like,
Yeah,
go away.
it just needs movement decks, and it needs copy cards, split cards. And the thing with the movement deck thing is I feel like Plunder being released was his Ben Brode's answer to the fact that he had said in a previous Q&A that he felt movement decks are still extremely powerful and very underutilized, and I feel like he was trying to make people see that maybe by putting this location as an event location. I don't know, but
The other strategy that would work is a strategy, and we've talked about it with being split cards, but like that tried and true Venom Zola.
yeah, splitter copy, yeah,
Yeah,
pretty much.
and that'll get you out of a sticky situation.
But it also
Um,
gets telegraphed, and even more so with only two
yes,
lane play. And because it's a 2 lane
yes.
play, you have better odds of getting Cosmo or something like that that's going to fuck you anyway. So
The
it's
only,
just a
I
whole
mean,
clusterfuck. I think you're better
it's a
off with
matter of
Captain Marvel because she's just a hard ability. No reveal, I believe. Let me double check that.
yeah. There's no reveal. It's just she'll move to a location if you have a chance of winning. No reveal on her. Not even an ongoing. It's just this is what she'll do. Like Bucky Burns is no reveal. It's
That's pretty much locations, so we'll be back with Super Squads. So the first thing we have for Super Squads is, speaking of Zola, since Jeremy likes Zola so much, Zola
oh, Mr.
and Mr.
Negative.
Negative. Now
Yeah.
this one's great because it gives Zola actual value in the lane you drop him, which, so going back to the castle situation, the plunder, you're running in that you're running into a telegraph like we talked about with Zola. So with this, it's even if there's like a telegraph in terms of they know which lane you're going to be playing him, so which one to go hard at and which ones to go softer at because of that. This takes that ability to go softer in the Zola lane out of it purely because he'll now throw 6 power. On the flip side, it allows a player to not have to telegraph because you can Venom and Death and other stuff in the same lane and just split whichever one and then leave behind a 6 Zola so that you still have a power. So like, yes, you might reduce your power by half on Death or, more on Venom, but you're still going to be able to hold a 6 there. And, so that makes it viable to actually like throw Zola into a random location or a more random chance location than just a straight up split, which allows you to not telegraph as easily too.
Yeah, it could also work out in that even if you do, like you said, half get, if you still have other destroy cards, it could work out in your favor
Yeah,
because you did end up playing Zola for free,
yeah,
right? Because he gives you a good
exactly.
cost.
And he's gonna give
So
you 6 power.
you could ultimately end up with more power in the end, given your proper draw
Yeah,
out, proper curve.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. I think it gives him a lot more viability if you play him in a negative deck than otherwise,
agreed.
and I think it helps you disguise your plan too, because a lot of people see negative and they're thinking negative Surfer or stuff like that, or negative Cerebro, or they're not always thinking negative Zola. They're usually more often than not thinking negative Iron Man.
I don't think I've seen negative Zola, to be honest. Maybe once. Might have seen it once.
Yeah, I saw it once this week and was like, well, that's sexy. I want to write that down. Next up, we got another good one. Someone told me yesterday. I want to double check if I have a shout out for that, just real fast. But it's Oc and Mojo. And it's gross.
Because Oc will fill up the lane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh.
And then Mojo gets the buff.
That is nasty.
So
that is nasty.
Yeah, so if you're running into a situation where like you have Oc, but you keep not getting Shang-Chi, you can put Mojo in the deck, and now you've got 2 avenues to curve out behind the Oc play. You don't necessarily have to Shang-Chi. And the benefit there is what if Shang-Chiing the Oc lane means you can't Shang-Chi another lane that's just as important later, if not more important later. But this gives you the option in a situation where, okay, only one big card got pulled or no big cards got pulled. What do I follow Oc up with, even though he's still losing the lane? I can drop Mojo down for an 8, because you'll have pulled 4 cards out there probably. Now, in a situation where you get Oc and you're trying to Mojo behind him 100%, like that's the play you're going with, then you need to check your opponent's hands beforehand.
I was just about to say that.
Because if they do not have 4, you're risking it, because it's not necessarily the case that they'll play that 4th card, especially if you pulled a bunch of tall shit out there for them and they're just like, I'm done.
More often than not, they probably won't, because they'll feel like you've got some kind of buff coming.
Yeah. So
that location.
Yeah, so look at their hand, because you may want to they've got 3 cards. Okay, then I'll play into a lane where they've got 2 or something, or 1. That way it fills it up, or has a better chance of filling up. But this can be a really strong play. It has good potential, good power potential. The next one we have, so those were both dynamic duos Avengers threats. We don't have any Defenders threats this week, no small threats, but what we do have is a starter duo trio. This one is based off of the Arnim Zola negative Avengers threat, and a previous Avengers threat in Zola Iron Man. So you combine them all together, and you really got something going here, because now you can play Iron Man for nothing, you play Zola for nothing. So, say you split your big card and leave Zola behind, and there's nothing else but Zola, you can still Iron Man that lane, right, ahead of time, and they'll think that you Iron Manned it for the card that's there. Plot twist, you did it so that Zola's 12, or something like that, you know what I mean? And then when you throw Iron Man in there, he's a 5, right? So now, look at that, I'm playing with like house money at this point. We're looking at 22. That's not too shabby.
The really disgusting part about that combo is 2 of those cards are free.
Yep.
With negative.
Yep.
So it's like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's not like you got to drop it on 6 or drop it on 5. Like, you can literally drop Zola and Iron Man the same turn, and if you do it in the proper order, Zola splits the card ahead of it, Iron Man flops in behind, boom, 21 left behind, split whatever that other fucking giant card was to 2 other locations, and you've basically got skyscrapers across the board, like nothing can be done about. And that's awesome. You could even also Zola after the Iron Man and have 2 lanes that are just woo.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Double.
Yeah, you've got multiple options. The point being, like, it basically sets you up best in a situation where, like, so say you're like, it's 50-50, you don't know which lane dude's going to go with. Well, this one's like, this sort of a deck style takes that out of the equation, because you can decide to go with either of those plans. I got to win the other 2 lanes? Okay, I split Iron Man. I need to win this lane and one other? Okay, I split the card and Iron Man the Zola. Or, so it gives you a lot of options, super versatile.
Now, Mr. Negative's effect, that does your deck, right?
Yeah, so the only thing is you have to have some late draw luck, and that makes you susceptible to cube losses if you're not careful.
With that kind of deck, you're gonna want guaranteed draw cards, so you don't draw Zola early and Iron Man
Yeah.
early, so they stay in your deck.
That
So you're
makes
gonna want,
Quicksilver and Domino very powerful here. But
yeah,
don't play Chavez because you need your last turn draw. So you'd play like Quicksilver Domino so that you don't draw those, and then you try to coax out, the Mr. Negative early, hopefully. So you'd probably want to have a Psylocke in there, you know,
yes,
or an
yeah.
Electro with the ability to like get rid of the ongoing, um,
Electro with a Viper or
or with an Enchantress, or you know something along those lines, or shit,
now
even a
now that
Beast.
becomes an expensive deck when you're throwing in a Viper
Yeah, yeah. I think you're
or an
I think you're
Electro.
better off
But
trying to Psylocke it, but there's a lot of ways to get this one done. But it can be really
yes,
effective if it curves out because it gives you basically guaranteed whichever of the two of the three lanes you need. Sometimes all three, and that's hard to really combat. It's like a riskier version of like trying to triple lane lock with like Spidey, Abs Man, Zabu kind of thing.
by the way, that is disgusting.
Oh, it is. Just
Having played it a few times
yeah, yeah. It's hard to beat.
and beaten it a few times here and there,
Yeah, it's hard. It's
disgusting.
hard. If I curve out, it's almost impossible to beat. Um, Short of like Magic or something. But this next one we got is a deck crystallizing quartz. So this one's like an even bigger thing you can build a deck around. This is an actual curve out play that you want to try to run. So the way this one works is you play on. I want to say. I thought I wrote this down, but maybe not. So you play Daredevil into Warpath. Wait, sorry, into Colossus, into Cosmo, into Warpath for a turn 6 destroyer.
And hold on, I'm just trying to make sure that that adds up. Daredevil turn 2, Colossus turn 3, Cosmo turn 4, Warpath turn 5, Destroyer turn 6. Right?
Um, yes, Daredevil, Colossus, Cosmo, then Warpath, then turn 6 destroyer. Yes, and the way this works is you're going to have the Daredevil there so that you can see like what's up, where to place the destroyer, kind of thing. Or I mean, not where to place the destroyer, but to see what they're gonna do on turn 5 and if you can still win with your play or whatever, right? But I think the more important thing is it allows you to know where to place the destroyer in terms of like, or not the destroyer, but where to play the game or whether to continue in terms of like Warpath and stuff like that, right? So having played Cosmo, you're gonna play your destroyer there, but you can build this deck to have, because again you have the Daredevil to have armor in it, so that in the event that the Daredevil tells you something that's like, ooh, you can maybe, be like, okay, not Warpath, I'm gonna do this other thing real quick. But the fact that you're playing Daredevil into a turn 5 Warpath, the goal there is to see their play so that you can choose where you're dropping Warpath to get that best effect of 9. Um, and then,
You would play Destroyer same lane as Warpath.
no, you'd play him same lane as Cosmo, unless you had armor on top of the Warpath. And the reason for that is you want to
Oh, because
play.
you don't want to
Yeah,
destroy your.
yeah, you're not trying to destroy your playing field. So the goal of Cosmo is to have a place to lane your destroyer. The goal of Daredevil is to kind of let you know if your play is going to work or not on turn 5, to kind of give you an idea where you might want to play Warpath, um, especially if you have an armor
I would
situation.
think that I would think that armor would work better than Colossus because
Um,
he would protect more cards.
well, yeah, but it also telegraphs some
It
stuff.
would give you a bigger second lane to guarantee the win,
I
right?
mean, yes, but the thing is, Colossus can be enough in the case of like
He only has 3 power though.
he so yeah, yeah, but the thing is, if you can't play things exactly the way you need to, Colossus
Yeah,
is kind of there.
it is definitely less telegraphed. Like,
Yeah,
harder to telegraph.
yeah. But like I said, you put armor in this deck with it. I feel like with these cards, but this would be the ideal curve out. But if you had armor as well, that gives you extra options. And then
I
go ahead.
Yeah, I think I would be way more comfortable playing Arnim, but I can see the appeal.
Yeah, yeah. That'll bring us to the deck of the week.
Title of the deck is APOC at the Disco because it's a discard deck, and APOC, theoretically, given the right draws, is the big bad card of the deck, or at least that's what I want people to think. Really, more often than not, it becomes Hela, as long as Hela doesn't get discarded. Um, so basically, what happens is I don't generally play anything turn one because generally, if I play something turn one, I can almost guarantee Hela's gonna get discarded. That's no fun. Uh, Morbius turn two, right? Then I'll play, depending on the draw, I will play Moon Knight Swordmaster turn three. More often than not, it's Swordmaster because I tend to draw him. Um, Black Cat will discard herself. Hopefully, that's usually that happens turn one. Because usually my draw is like Blade, Hubba, Black Cat. That's usually my turn one draw. Um, Weird that it usually ends up that way, but it usually goes. Um, I have Black Bolt in there just for extra power boost. I don't really have him in there for his ability. It just gives me a nice 8 power. I should probably swap him out for something
I
else.
mean, if
But
you're not using him for his ability, 8 power is the average for a 5 cost. So I would find one that does something you want.
I don't have one right now that has something I want, at least from my quick looking. I threw this deck together, as I mentioned earlier in the episode. I threw it together like 2 minutes before we played each other.
I mean, you don't
Um,
necessarily have to have a 5 cost either. Throw something else
yeah,
together.
I think I'll probably go with. Part of me wants to throw like a Silver Surfer in there because I have those 3 cost
But
cards.
it's not that many, and you'd be counting on getting three, 4 cards to play, and then him, and then that's like
Yeah,
such a niche thing. It's like running counter to the style of the deck. I would probably, honestly, I would run Dracula instead of Black Bolt because he's going to
I
be
don't
more
have
powerful.
Dracula.
Okay, fair enough. Because that's the card I would run there because ideally, what you would be doing is building up APOC, having Infinite, and then if you kill the Infinite, Hela brings it back. If you don't, it's in hand. You play
That's
Hela,
that's
and
literally the
then
only reason.
yeah, and then he
That's
would.
literally the only reason Infinite's in the
Well,
deck
yeah,
is
no,
for
I
Hela.
get that, but I'm saying if you had Dracula, right, he would be another reason to have him there because he would be able to, if you have it in hand, he would be able to
Gain
take
his
that.
power. Yeah,
Or if he's
yeah.
not and Hela brought him out, you would ostensibly still have APOC in hand because he can't be destroyed permanently through discards. So he'd still be in hand
And
big, and then
and
he,
theoretically, he's grown
yeah. And the
significantly.
thing is, when Dracula kills him, he discards him again, and then assumes that power, which will then also be bigger again.
Yep. Um, Dracula would be a good choice.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't have him yet.
Now, what's the
I
Wolverine
hope
interaction here? I don't understand that.
so. Wolverine was just another one of those kind of random cards that I threw in there because his ability is if he's destroyed or discarded.
Okay, so
It's
you're
not
just
just
so you're hoping that like the one discard for 4 powers, just that's all right.
yeah.
Okay.
He's kind of like an early play.
Yeah,
He's another one that I could replace, and probably will as I get more
well,
cards.
because we've talked
Uh,
before in here about the Colleen Wing Wolverine combo. So I mean, it is a viable combo, especially now that he has like more power. It was just interesting to see in the deck where you're trying to
I
hella
was
stuff and APOC.
I was also purposely trying to keep the pool low on this deck
Oh, okay.
because I was still kind of thinking about maybe entering the tournament. I've convinced myself not to now. I'm just going to do the production side of it. But like this would have been a tournament deck.
Fair enough.
Um, and I think I could have done all right. I'm doing all right in the rank climb. So if I'm doing all right in the rank climb, theoretically I could survive
Yeah.
a tournament.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's basically the deck. Basically, Black Cat's there to discard herself
Yeah, it's not bad.
and be late game power for Hela.
And obviously Moon Knight's nice because it kills something on their side.
Yes.
This week on Counterculture, instead of like a versus segment like we've had before, this one's more of like a what to recognize to counter Galactus kind of thing. And it's not so much any specific cards that counter him, it's just various shells that he comes in that you got to look out for. So the new hotness, that's not necessarily the most popular, but it's the new hotness that like you have not seen before. It's going to hit you, it's going to bite you, you're going to get like surprised by and be like, ooh, where was death in this situation? So the ideal curve out here is on turn 3 you wave, which reads a lot like Chad play death if you didn't get enough Destro early for that kind of a deck. But it's not going to be that because turn 4 you're rolling Doc Ock, turn 5 you're rolling Arrow, and turn 6 you're rolling Galactus. So the wave, it's a bluff because you think death doesn't come, Doc Ock comes, so then it's double bluff because you're like, okay, well that's not Galactus either, you know. And so Doc Ock comes in, fills the board on that side, makes sure that like you're not able to counter Galactus, right? Arrow comes in, fills like the board away from where the Galactus play is going to be again, and that way Galactus has a nice clean opportunity to just come in on turn 6, drop down naturally the way Galactus should, as opposed to like coax him out early and then have some try to null it or something like that. Because granted, null is great, don't get me wrong, but if you play Galactus like the traditional sense, like the way, I don't mean should be played like, hey everybody you should play it this way, I mean like should be played in terms of just like as the rules and as the game, like without any other abilities in play, as Galactus should be played, right? Which is a turn 6. So, having done that on turn 6, you're really relying on that 3 power, right? Which is not a lot. That's why it's essential to dump their hand out for them with Doc Ock and to move everything conveniently away with Arrow. That way, whatever they do on turn 6 either ties it or just doesn't win it. And I say ties it because you probably won't have Prio anyway, so they're not going to Shang-Chi, but if they were to Shang-Chi, like thinking, oh, Galactus is coming, but it's a pretty solid play. It's a pretty solid move. No one's going to want to play in that empty lane because they're like, okay, you're going for it, and unless you've seen this shell before, you don't see the Galactus in it, and if you don't see the Galactus in it, you've got nothing there on turn 6, because you played away. And I think the Doc Ock entices you even more to play away from that empty lane because you're like, shit, okay, now I really gotta like get some shit done, So if they haven't retreated by the Doc Ock play or the Arrow play, Galactus definitely will get it done at that point. The second one's the Electro Ramp. This is the old school. This is the tried and true. This is the one that telegraphs itself. This is the one where you see it coming. To turn 5, they throw the Hobgoblin, and what, turn 4, they throw the Green Goblin at you, and you're like, oh shit, that's where Galactus is going to drop, because it's super telegraphed. So you don't see that too much these days, but the Electro Ramp is the tried and true method, the old school, and the ideal curve out that we just talked about with Wave, Doc Ock, Arrow, and Galactus, that'd be that new hotness, that new. So, and the third one, though, is the ongoing ramp. Now, this is the one we just mentioned, null, right? So when we're talking about the ongoing ramp, most ongoing ramp decks, They split push their ongoing cards because they don't want to get Enchantress in one shot. And so they typically do not lane low power ones where they're laning to win. And that's what leaves the necessary room for them to play like an Ultron, right? Or like their Doc Doom. And the thing is, Galactus, well, he also needs a wide open lane. So 2 juice lanes with the ongoing stacked into the buffed cards is a telegraph because there's no room for the drone cards, right? So if you see it being played 90% Patriot or whatever, right? And then you're like, but wait a minute, why are you doing that? Well, they're doing that because Galactus is coming. Galactus is coming hard, and Null's going to come in right behind him like, what's up? So you want to be careful of that because Null obviously benefits, right, from every card's power that had been destroyed during the match. And that gets real big real quick with Galactus. But that's the ongoing ramp, right, which benefits Null by buffing the card as much as possible before being destroyed. So they're not going to read Galactus because they're going to think you're Patrioting or something like that. So if you're trying to counter it, again, you want to look for that, wait, why did they do that? Because Ultron would have made more sense here. Oh, maybe they don't have Ultron, but Doc Doom, or their alternative card, blah, 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 blah. It would have made more sense over there still. You know, when you get into that situation, you know, that's when you go, Galactus is coming. You know, and it seems like, you know, it seems pretty nasty. It seems like a good way to disguise it, too, because it looks just like any ongoing ramp, you know? I mean, would you see it coming?
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah. And then, so, like, the most popular one, though, is going to be Deathwave. And Deathwave, you know, you can see Null in that, too, but it's not as powerful as the ramp up. And it's definitely not as disguised as the ramp up. But the Deathwave, when you do that one and throw Null in, with Galactus in, that one's like really popular because you're destroying a lot of cards. You bring in Null with Galactus and boom, you know, and the wave allows you to get Galactus out there early, you know, and et cetera, makes the death cost maybe like 1 or 0 on that turn 2, so you get them both out there. So the Galactus, you know, not where you throw the death, obviously. Death gets destroyed. Null's big on turn 6. So that one's pretty good too. But I'd say if you're going to run a Null Galactus deck, I'd say probably run it in an ongoing ramp because you've got a lot more going on, a lot more options, and it's not going to look like what it is until it's too late. And a lot of times people are just going to be like, oh, look at this dork. He played his lanes wrong. Now when he Ultrons, it's going to be fucked for him. What a dork. Okay, I'm going to snap on him. He doesn't know what he's doing. Oh, he knew what he was doing. I got snap. Oh. So, you know.
Ongoing ramp with a Spectrum into a Null would be...
Yeah, if you could find a way to pull that off. I mean, now you're talking a lot of really high-cost cards that you're trying to fit in a short amount of time. But maybe if you're able to negative it or something...
yeah, you'd have to negative it. You'd have to throw a negative in there, or
negative Galactus could be pretty cool.
You'd have to get lucky with, or a magic. You could potentially get a 7.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of want Galactus now, just so I can play negative Galactus and see how that works. To be perfectly frank, because a turn 3 Galactus, woohoo! Because then you just throw like a little turn 4, turn 5, turn 6 Spidey abs, man. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking it may be just so much fun and so toxic, and I want to try it.
Fuck you.
It would be great. But yeah, that's pretty much counterculture, I think, right?
All of counterculture.
Yeah. So next up, we do not have superhero system this week. We'll have some more next week. We'll probably revisit tournament play in more depth after the first wave of tournaments hit, and we can kind of see what shakes, how people reacted, how people played each other at the top levels, the way the snaps go back and forth, who waits to high stakes or not. Or I did find when I was playing a lot of my Infinite buddies and we were taking it like sweaty intentionally, just to try to like suss it out. We did have a lot of folds. We did have a lot of or retreats rather, and we did have a lot of situations where we ended up in the high stakes games, and the guy.
Even me and you. even me and you, like,
Yeah.
a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, and one of the things we might talk about too is how you can like erode cubes even though you're down to one, you know, and you just have to be able to hang in there and win those hands, even though.
Well, the first game I beat you, and that's how I did it. You had me beat the majority of it, and I came in the last round.
So we'll definitely hit that up in Superhero System next week. But coming up, we have our screen grabs for the week. All right, on screen grabs this week, the first one we have, I believe I called, well, so long and thanks for all the cards, Maximus, because Maximus was played on the last turn. And I think they had it in mind to, win with a big power at Hell's Kitchen. And then hopefully Muir Island, I guess, would be enough for them. And they just gave up because I smacked Wong with Enchantress. And so by playing Maximus, they played themselves because that's +4. It was going to be a lot closer. I still would have won by 2. But, that's like literally the difference of like just small margins there. And I thought it was kind of hilarious that they made their loss happen to themselves even worse by virtue of playing Maximus into a Dino. They didn't know the Dino was coming. That was my turn 6 flip. I just thought it was funny. That's where their confidence came from, because before the Dino flip, they're thinking, no way this guy with a 7 and a 6 there on Muir Island, no way this guy takes out my fucking Brood set with Domino. He's thinking, no way, no how.
Know.
Yeah, little did they know, Maximus made it even worse for him, and Devil Dino was already on the way. Yeah, it's pretty good. But I mean, they should have honestly expected it with the Moon Girl, but it's a pretty good one. The second grab we got is one I called the opponent forgot to play on the Nexus because, well, they kind of forgot to play on the Nexus. 92 at Nidavellir. That's really cool, but you know what would have been cooler? Whatever that is, -20, 72 at the Nexus. Now that would have been impressive, and that would have won the game. Unfortunately, they forgot about the Nexus. I didn't. It looked like I did. You know what I mean? Because I put Zola and Quinjet at the big house, and it was kind of like, what's he gonna do with Sunspot? But
he really didn't do anything with Sunspot, did he?
Well, he retreated before he could do anything with Sunspot because dude was like, I give
up. Smart play would have been to Sunspot on Nexus.
Anything other than not play there at all and let me just Spidey it.
He should have Sunspotted.
Yeah.
The Sunspot would have grown over time, right?
Yep. And you could tell by the placement of my Spidey that I didn't play the Nexus till turn 5.
Yeah.
I was content to just kind of be like, what are you doing, dude?
Because he either should have put all his emphasis on the Nexus instead of the middle, or played Sunspot Nexus and did what he did at the middle.
Yeah.
Instead of playing the big house. Like, what?
Yeah, he should have done anything other than big house with the cards he had there. He should have split that up a bit better. Now, granted, the Jubilee did pull the Ironheart early, so that's a bit of a clusterfuck. But, I mean, still, he had plenty of time to get it done and just kind of didn't. He just kind of neglected it, and in the end, I'll take the cubes.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah, Jubilee did pull Ironheart early, but why at that point, why Iron Man that? Like...
Yeah, I would have given up on that lane at that point. I would have been like, well, that's a dud. Like, he was assuming I was ever going to put a card there. But if I haven't put even one card there to that point, I see the enticing factor, but I also wouldn't touch it with such... I'd say I'd say it's a wash because all my op has to do is put one strong card, and it overcomes the fact that both of them are getting a buff because both of them are worth like nothing by themselves. But
And you'd already played Zabu, so he knows the kind of deck you're running.
exactly. But
Come on, dude.
this next one's funny. I play this guy quite a few times. I see him a lot. It's funny. But this one I won. He Xaviered the sewer and was like, sweet, I got the sewer. But I titled this one Brain Duel Double Dap because, again, like I said, I see this player a lot, and so both of us gave the fist bump emote after because we both sat there thinking for a hot ass minute on turn 6, and you could see neither of us snapped because we were both like, okay, I got this or this, or no, maybe that, or no, oh shit, man, this is tough. And so I finally figured out my play. On my last turn, and it was, he's gonna Shang-Chi, I'm just gonna White Queen. And he's Shang-Chi and I White Queen. And so we were both like, yo, good game. Because if I played the big card, I lose, you know? But I didn't. Because I was like, he's gonna Shang-Chi. He's gonna fucking Shang-Chi. I knew it, and he had Prio. Yeah, I knew it, and I had Prio. Sorry, not he had Prio. But yeah, I knew it, and I had Prio, I think. So yeah, it was...
If he would have played anything other than White Queen, he would have won.
Yep.
Would have won left.
Yep. That's why the math there was like, all right, let's see. So it was pretty interesting. It was a really fun game against someone I've seen a lot in ladder, and that we respect each other, and so it was cool.
Next one, you pulled my play.
Yeah. So this one I called Nullified Null, and this was another like super 5-head play, and
that's a null.
It really is. But this is kind of like the one where the guy forgot to play the Nexus, in that there's one really fucking large lane and not a lot else going on. And so, yeah, a lot of stuff was powerful and got destroyed. Go ahead.
I mean, Luke's Bar is kind of a toss-up. Like, the only way you're winning that is if you've got, like, a Wolverine or a
Jubilee
card.
or... Yeah.
Yeah. Well, does the Jubilee stay?
No.
Like, does the card Jubilee pull stay?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, because it's not a played card. Remember that difference. It's a pulled card. She brings it along for the ride. It does its reveal, but it's not played. So it just shows up, does its thing, and she disappears. So it's a good strat for Luke's Bar, yeah. But in his case, he wasn't going for like Zola at the end in any way, shape, or form, whether he drew it or not. But you can see this went to 8 cubes, so they knew that this was going to be like, what it was. So I feel like it was kind of interesting that they chose to just drop the null anyway and be like, fuck it. Because it's just super weird. It's super weird. Yeah, it's 73 power, but I mean, my Zola was coming. It was coming. There's no way he didn't know it wasn't coming. And boop, it did. And then that's Luke's Bar. That's the other side. Done. Because it put 17 on top of whatever the shit else was over there, which wasn't that much. So I could see why they thought they were going to win, but they should have seen this play coming and didn't. And the reason I say they should have seen this play coming and didn't is, who's their avatar? Oh, the guy I beat them with? Yeah, that's right. So they should have seen that coming.
yeah. And as we've discussed, that Venom Zola is telegraphable.
Yeah, especially when there's a Luke's Bar. It's like, I'm obviously going to want to win Luke's Bar, so I'm obviously going to do this. But the thing is, he didn't see it. I get the 8 cubes. Beautiful.
For this first Hella sweep, basically, what happened was, I believe I had drawn Infinite, Lady Sith, and I believe Moon Knight for my opening hand. So I didn't play anything the first... Oh, and Black Cat. I would have drawn Black Cat, too, because you draw 4 cards. Start up first turn. So I didn't play anything turn 1. Black Cat discards itself. Um, Obviously, the goal of Infinite in this deck is to discard it, as we discussed earlier. So, I didn't play anything turn two either because Morbius wasn't in my hand. Drew him later. Uh, Played Lady Sif turn three.
Not bad.
Got lucky with it discarding Infinite and not any of the other cards. Um, Basically, what happened is I kind of got lucky on turn six. I drew out and drew Hela, which then pulls Infinite, and I had no, sorry. I would have had to have discarded Lady Sith somewhere along the line. So it was probably Swordmaster that discarded um, Infinite, and Moon Knight probably did Lady Sith. Um, got lucky on turn six drawing Hela, which pulls everything discarded out, obviously, which gave me a heck of a lane left. He was trying to push middle uh, because like he tried to play that Mr. Fantastic, thinking, "Oh, that'll put me over the top." Yeah, it really he didn't do math properly, basically, because it didn't put him over the top. Um,
Not even close.
yeah, yeah.
Not bad.
This is one of those plays where it's like this guy didn't really. Maybe he didn't get a good draw, but I don't know what kind of deck he was really trying to play here. Because
Yeah, this seems like a player that. So, like, earlier you were talking about how you seem to like, or I should let me rephrase. Earlier you were talking about how it it seems like at your collector level, you face players that are way above you collector level, and you were talking about like the MMR, not necessarily liking that, but I think this also bears out the fact that those are probably not that common, and they're probably players that like you have a season pass or two, or have like just enough of certain cards to where like it's this above the rest of the people at that MMR in terms of ranking. And so I think this kind of a deck right here bears that out, because if you look at it, you got Odin, Drax, Yondu, Mr. Fantastic, and Star Lord. And so
it seems like it's a reveal deck, but it's kind of a weird reveal deck.
and yeah, but I think the real key element here is that he's got a lot of pool 2 cards and a
Yeah.
couple pool 3. I was trying to check with the bot, but something's going wrong with the functionality of it right now, so I couldn't check live. But the
Drax is pull
the
three,
Drax,
right?
I believe, is pool 3 for sure. And so I'm pretty
I think
sure.
Odin might be
No,
in,
Odin's a base card. Odin's a base card, and if he's not, he's one of like the starting ones at pool 3 that everybody gets, kind of thing. But either way, he's basically playing starter cards plus Drax here, and I think the takeaway from this is that you're seeing a very early player deck in terms of collector level, and so what you were talking about before, and how you're saying that shouldn't be a thing. It doesn't really appear that it is too much of a thing for you, because at my collector level, you can see what I'm facing. I'm facing nulls. I'm facing fucking all the shit. Everybody's dropping all this weird stuff on
I
me.
mean,
I'm getting
I
hit by
see.
Darkhawks. I'm getting hit by Galactus. Galactus is breaking it off inside me. I'm seeing Thanos. I'm facing an entire like galaxy, like fucking, like if this was a rogues gallery, it'd be a rogues gallery for like the entire Avengers of ever, which is like 99,999% of like all characters in the MCU.
I mean, these screenshots don't do it justice because there's two of
I
them
mean,
back to back
I
that
get that, but I'm just
people
saying, I think
are
this
like,
definitely shows you that for every one at least of those, you know, on the, like, think of it like a box whisker plot, right? Think of this as like the whisker end on one side, and then on the other side would be that guy with that null that you saw that one time or something. You know what I mean? So I think that's what this is showing. I'm not saying that this is necessarily a norm. I'm just saying I think what this shows is that you're getting an equal amount on both sides of it at your ranking and collector level. You know what I'm saying? So it's probably more just The ones you do see are the people that are like they got a little luckier in their early draw boxes for pool 4, you know, because you're far enough into 3 that you've drawn a 4 or 2, you know, or a 5 or 2, you know, like in total you've probably drawn 1 or 2 at least of the pool 4/5 cards that aren't
I mean,
battle
the next
passes.
one's more in the sense that, like, I really don't know. Like, he was trying to run that Sunspot deck, clearly.
Yeah,
Um,
got their armor down and everything.
but did it poorly simply because my cards just outpowered.
Yeah, and the thing that I'm seeing here is, and I think this is the crucial mistake he made. You see where
I
Zuwadu
argue
the
that
Waters.
Shang-Chi is what. Like,
Well, that was a late game mistake, but before he even got into that position, he was already in trouble. And I'm going to say this is why. Because his same play there, done at Adelan, is more competitive without a Shang-Chi and him just playing a big card, and then he's not even tempted. You see what I'm saying? Granted, the Hella play, some of that stuff probably came back, so I don't know the exact order, but just off the top, I'm seeing Uwadu the Watcher right there in slot 1, basically saying he knew from the fucking jump what all 3 locations were, which means he knew not to play on Monster. What is that? Monster Metropolis, because he knew his deck. He knew he doesn't have the highest power card probably. Why would he play there? He should have played right.
Yeah, he should have.
So for me, that's, I think, you know, if I gotta like pick an exact moment this went wrong for the other player, that was it. When he did not take advantage of Uwadu the Watcher and
I
get it out
don't
there.
remember the typical order that this hand would have played, because Hella looks like it was played like fairly early. Well, not early, but like on the right. I mean,
Well, that's why I was saying it looked like a lot of cards might have been drawn out.
yeah, it looks like I drew out and was able to discard a ton somehow, more than I normally would have. Because, like, obviously the Spore was discarded because there's 3 of them. So, like, it would have been brought back by Hella.
Well, and you had the
Plus,
benefit of Sokovia from your deck, too, because Sokovia discards a card and your deck's designed around that.
Yes. Yeah, I did. Yeah. And I discarded Infinite at some point because, like, there's no other way I would have played it and still been able to play Hella.
Yeah.
Or Black Bolt, because Black Bolt is a 5 cost. So I got lucky on the discards for sure.
Yeah.
Like, normally you're not going to discard that many cards.
Yeah. Like, you were going to win, but you got lucky in terms of the sweep that he threw, or that she threw Black Bolt there, and that he became a +5. Or, I mean, sorry, +3. I mean, I did that
wrong. The fact
wrong.
that he armored, like, normally armor Sunspot, like, the fact that it got countered with Infinite, like, I can't fault him, because that was pure luck that Infinite landed there, because obviously he was
playing it after Wolverine, weird.
Yeah, playing armor after Wolverine when Wolverine's ability is to destroy him.
Yeah.
Or destroy him generally. It's like, you clearly don't know your own strategy of your own deck yet.
Yeah, they made a mistake. They made an oopsie, I think. This next one's cool, though. I call this one a fistful of rocks. Because you have a fistful of rocks, but it didn't matter.
Yeah, it really didn't.
I mean, I see why you ended up with a fistful of rocks. Like, I get it. It was a Lamentus thing. And the fact that you were able to maintain your strongest card by having it, like, drawn out for you in that was the real strength of the whole situation. Like, I get that, but it's still funny that you have, like, 4 rocks in hand from playing. I found it funny
that,
stuff.
Like, his Odin couldn't win him the game.
Yeah.
Like, his Odin Wong combination couldn't win him. Because normally if I run up against that combination, Odin...
yeah. But
Wong white
Oh
Odin.
yeah, but if you've X'd the
That
lane,
will, yeah, I did with Professor X.
yeah.
Yes.
So once you X the
Uh,
lane, I mean, it's like easy peasy, man.
but I mean, I didn't X the lane until I mean, I would have X'd it before he did Odin, of course. But like, I didn't X the lane until turn 5. So like, why didn't he try to?
He was hoping to get the Tigers to split and then to make the Tigers split again and have 14 and 14 or something like that. I don't think he was hoping for the way this turned out.
No, clearly not. Like, he wasn't expecting me to Professor X. Um, that turn for sure. I really wanted the Lockjaw, um, but it wasn't in the cards. I kind of want to throw Lockjaw in my discard, make a second discard deck, and throw Lockjaw in just to see if I can get like decent RNG on pulling cards to discard. But I feel like it would be counter because like it puts cards back in your deck. So I'd just be playing the same cards basically over and over. And it wouldn't actually discard enough to make it effective.
Yeah.
But this game did get me thinking about that idea of like, would that theory work? I
Yeah.
don't think it would,
Yeah.
but
Then you beat another Wong Tiger, but this one split better. Like, well, not really, but
it,
it
I
had
mean,
better
better in
effect.
the sense that I didn't lock a lane.
Yeah, yeah. So it had more chances anyway, unless they played it after the whole Wolfsbane combo. Um, Personally, I think their mistake there was not moving the Nightcrawler. Because had they moved Nightcrawler, um, like I mean I get the need to buff Wolfsbane. I get that. I get that, and that's why turn order matters. So you drop the Wolfsbane, move the Nightcrawler,
Yeah,
and if you can pull that
yeah.
off, then you have a slot for a Tiger. But since they had no slot for Tigers, I mean, like, what exactly are you gonna, you know? They would have been better off
Yeah.
if they had a space for that 7 because they weren't gonna win. But at the same time, even if they did, they weren't gonna get enough Tigers to win the Plunder location either. So I
So this
just
deck was a bit of an experiment for me. It was my new, it was, I call it Neo is the one because it's a new one cost deck. So Neo for new,
oh boy,
one for
oh boy,
one.
dad joke is fucking. You're younger than me. Oh god.
I know, right?
Oh boy. Well, at least that means I'm just funny, I guess. You're falling into dad jokes from age, but I'm older, so I guess I'm just good. I'll be all right. I'll be all right. You're like my canary in the coal mine, over there telling dad jokes and shit.
Yep, yep, yep. Um, this was just purely an experiment for me. It just I got lucky and it worked.
Yeah.
Uh, because like such low power, I should not. At the very least, I should never have swept him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, you got two negatives going down in the mid, and you couldn't win that lane, and I think that's a mistake, especially because he played Angela and
yeah,
does not understand the effect of Angela. Right? What he should have done is played Angela there, played all those other small cards and Wolfsbane there, and hope for the Tigers or force the Tigers into the Bifrost. Because if he does that, 3 cards on Angela, right, um, makes her what, a 6. So
yeah, she's not.
you can basically add 2 to the way it is now, and it's at 0 for that because of the ninja. So it's an 11 as it stands, sans ninja. You play it on top of Angela, you've got an 11 plus 6, you've got, 17 there. That's a big number. It beats you by 1. And then he gets 2 tigers to come out the same way he got 2 tigers to go on to the plunder. He gets 2 to come out, land on the Bifrost, and beat you there. Like, it was a winnable game for them. They just did not win it because
They played the wrong order.
they just
Yeah.
didn't take advantage of Angela. It was really unfortunate.
Yep.
But I
Yep.
think part of that too is the fact that it is the plunder, and they played it there too early, which is a good example of you got to know what the card does, because you don't want to play a card like that in an unflipped spot, because if you can't follow up on it, you just wasted your whole deck. So like,
which is what happened. He played Angela
exactly,
early.
exactly,
It wasn't fair.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like for me, that's why for my decks and stuff, I kind of like things like Collector, where I could play stuff anywhere and the effect to buff them happens, or like a Bishop, you could play a card anywhere and the effect to buff to happens. You know.
What I tend to do is, what I've been doing lately is just waiting till they're all revealed, and then devising my strategy based on that.
Yeah.
Or I will play like in the, or like, if I'm not like, I've been screwed before by Superflow, so like I played middle before it was revealed, and it flips over in Superflow, and then I'm like, that sucks because they're gonna get extra energy. I'm not, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like I really try to hold off with a lot of my play now, which may not be the smartest, but I mean, the decks I've been running lately are late game decks anyway, so I'm
Right.
not affected too bad by not playing turn one, turn two, at the very least. Like I may play turn two, but I got like, it's kind of like game theory at that point, right? Get three
Right.
doors, choose one,
Yeah.
get the option to change it. You change it or you can stay, right?
Yeah. You have better
Both
odds if you
will
change
change
it.
it, right?
Well, technically, you have better odds if you change it.
Yeah, yeah. But
Technically.
it's like, but it's like at that point, it's like, okay, I know what two of the locations are. I only need two locations to win, so
Right. Right.
I can either take a chance on the one location that I don't know, or I can play the two locations I do know and
Yeah.
hope that the location that flips over third isn't a location that would benefit me, like big time. Like if it's
Right.
a Nexus, well, I probably should have played Nexus. Or if it's a what's the one that gives you +5 power? I'm bad at names, but
Well,
if it's one of
for
those,
each card, Nidavellir.
probably Nidavellir, yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to play Nidavellir when I
Yeah.
see it, just because I don't have a lot of huge power cards,
Right.
so that +5 power kind of helps balance it out.
Yeah.
I mean, in my distro deck, I get some pretty high power cards.
Yeah. The other thing too is this player didn't take advantage of the Bifrost situation enough, and you did. And I think that's
No,
the big
they
thing.
didn't.
And they could have if they'd played Angela mid. You know, I think if you have to play somewhere that you're kind of like, so the Shadowland, you know, being left pushed with the Bifrost ninjas to the middle. I think if you're in a situation like that, right, and you have to, you just absolutely got to play Angela, and you can't play her on left. You don't want to play her mid into Bifrost, so you want to play her left into Bifrost. And Angela's not a one cost card, so that player knew damn well that Bifrost was flipped when Angela was put down. So to put
Yep.
Angela on top of Bifrost, knowing you will now only have 2 more turns to buff her up, well, that's a bold move, Cotton, and it didn't pay off. Pepper needs a new pair of
Whereas
shorts.
I played into Bifrost, right?
Yeah.
I played my negatives to the left, pushing the mid
Yep.
because I'd also played Ebony Maw, which is 7 power,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yeah. Smart
Plus
plays.
I had Ant-Man, which gets buffed for having 3 cards at the
Yeah, it's
location.
an
So
ongoing, so it doesn't matter when it happens exactly. Worked real
yeah,
nice. But that's screen grabs, and we'll be right back with some community decks, and we got some really good ones this week. All right, so this week on the community decks, the first one we have is from Clown again, who contributed previously in I think the last episode. This deck we called Negative Clown on stream, and the list is Psylocke, Ironheart, Mystique, Silver Surfer, Bishop, Wolfsbane, Brood, Mr. Fantastic, Mr. Negative, Wong, Magic, and Sarah. And so, if I'm not mistaken, I have instructions for this that I have misplaced. So I will try to figure that out real quick. But I think the goal is to get Bishop out early because you buff Bishop. And once you've been buffing Bishop, that's when I think things really get going.
Bishop gets double buffed because of the Silver Surfer too. So like, not only would you get him out early, and he gets buffed for every card you play after him. Silver Surfer's gonna come in.
Yeah.
Probably late, like probably turn 5.
So the way I found the run card. So the run card for this, the way it works is most cards will run without negative, but are better with him. So it insulates against needing Mr. Negative. So you don't see things like Iron Man in here. You don't see things, like Zola or anything, those things that become 0 cost or have big swings and effects.
Play this deck. You could play this deck like a standard Silver Surfer deck if you needed to.
Yeah, so if negative doesn't hit, it's not the end all be all of the entire curve out. You don't have to, try to therefore maximize cubes and try to get 4 and 8 cubes, on your Mr. Negative being dropped into game so that they don't see it coming, et cetera, because, man, that's a rough life to live when you try to play the odds so narrowly. It's so much better to have many outs that will help you, and this is a good way to have that and still be able to play a Mr. Negative deck. So the turn kind of situation, you don't have like a set preferred curve necessarily, but you do want to play Psylocke turn 2 to prep for negative because you want to be able to play him turn 3. So even if you haven't drawn him and you have Psylocke in hand, always play Psylocke T2, just assuming you top deck Mr. Negative. And then if you don't, well, you can do some other shit like play Wong.
Which is disgusting.
Yeah. And what that'll do too by playing the Wong is waste their Cosmo, because they're gonna Cosmo the Wong lane. But if you look at this deck, that doesn't really seem to affect it. You're not really trying to dump on top of Wong. Magic on top of Wong, because that's a reveal. Does that help you? No. Oh, look, it's Limbo. Ha! It's Limbo again, the same turn. 7, still 7. Mr. Fantastic's an ongoing. Brood gonna brood either way. Like, it's not gonna make it any different.
Mr. Fantastic gonna Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, he's ongoing. It doesn't change him. Wolfsbane, now she would reveal twice and get bigger. So that one, okay, that one's good on Wong, but it's not everything. Yeah, so Surfer and all that. But if you're able to do it right, and I mean do it right, like if you've got negative played right, well, my God, you can Wong for 2, Mystique to copy him for 0. You've got 2 lanes, and you've got all the places to choose where that Wolfsbane, Ironheart, Surfer stuff goes down. Now you've got split stuff, and even if you're not doing that, you've baited out the Cosmo with the Wong enough to play these cards elsewhere that, hey, you're good to go. And so...
I'm only missing 2 of these cards.
And then...
I'm missing...
Oh, okay. Which ones?
Brood.
Yeah.
And Psylocke.
Yep. Yeah. They're crucial, though, to this working, so...
Yeah, they are.
But... I mean, because Brood is basically essential for any Silver Surfer situation. It's just essential. Fills the card, or fills the board basically with 3 cost cards. So you just buff the ever-living shit out of them.
My Silver Surfer deck isn't as effective as...
Yep.
Because I don't have...
That's why I don't run a lot of Surfer, because even though I have Brood now, I didn't have Brood when everyone was running Surfer, so I missed the boat on learning how to do it really good in time to be good enough at it that I want to fuck with it. So I might maybe next time I stream try to run some Silver Surfer decks while I'm doing some battle modes, just to suss
Apparently he's still very effective.
He is still very effective. That's why I would very much like to be able to play him, just, for a change of pace some days.
Me too.
Yeah. So turn 5, you're going to Magic. That gives you up to turn 7. So now you've really got some stuff going. You can get all these cards out pretty much. Turn 6. Oh, and here's another note. You can Mystique the Mr. Fantastic as well. You do not have to just try to be Mystiquing the Wong. You can also Mystique Mr. Fantastic, and that's nasty too, because that can buff up the side lanes or it can buff up a lane adjacent, just one if you're playing from the
Mystique
edge.
doesn't have to be played in the same lane of the card it copies, does it? Or does it?
No, it just has to be played after it. That's why she's awesome for
Yeah.
making Wong effective in two places, or for doubling up Mr. Fantastic and being able to snap him from a different side to buff a different way. To buff mid instead, for example.
It's not like Rogue that has to be the same.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So on turn 6, you're gonna already have Brood plus Bishop played, so you're gonna play Sarah. This assumes you've played Magic on turn 5, though, right? So if you've played all that stuff just right, then you go into the next turn, and if Wong is not blocked, that's when you drop Wolfsbane, Ironheart, and Surfer, and you just clean up, let it go.
That's almost a guaranteed sweep.
Yeah, so this is a very, 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 very nasty deck. This one is called Big Zabu, and this one was contributed by Alien Flames, who we have a clip coming up of him when he hit Infinite. Man, was he stoked. But Alien Flames, dope guy. Definitely check him out. One of the homies, of me and Mal, and a lot of us like hanging out there. So definitely check him out. He's growing that channel. But that said, he's given us this big Zabu deck, and it is Sunspot, Zabu, Dracula, Jubilee, Jess Jones, Drax, Miles Morales, Thing, America Chavez, Magneto, Infinite, and Death. So the stack from Chavez to Death is obviously Dracula food. That's all it's there for, is just to feed the beast. And the cool thing about this deck and the fact that it runs Zabu is, it's not your daddy Zabu. This is not your granddaddy Zabu.
No.
This is a free to play player lower on the list who made Infinite, and I say lower on the collector list. I mean, who made Infinite using this. And this is his Zabu. My Zabu's got like Spideys and abs, mans. It's got dinos. It's flipping stuff, flopping stuff, locking lanes. It's nasty. It's gross. This got it done. This still got it done. So very effective. So the Zabu played lets you get Dracula out cheap. Lets you get Jubilee to pull up one of those big cards. So the same things that are Dracula food are also Jubilee dates. So she's trying to ask those last 4 cards to Sadie Hawkins if she can, because those are big hitters. Then we got Jess Jones. That's just a classic mainstay. Gets big. Drax, same thing if you can predict lanes. Now the Miles Morales thing. Now this one's interesting, and what Alien said about this is the fact that so many people tend to run a card or an effect or something of any kind that causes movement, that most times you can drop this guy cheap in a late turn and help get a big swing. And that's interesting. So it's not designed around his deck. It's designed around the fact that most people play something that moves at some point sometime.
Like an Iron Fist or
or a Nightcrawler or a Vision, or there's just so many things that move in so many ways. There's also like New York City comes up and you move to New York. Oh, Miles Morales is cheap now.
I didn't realize that his ability was for all movement. Like I thought it was just your side.
Magic. Oh, it's all movement. Yeah, no, it's all movement. He literally reads if a card moved.
I used to use him because I got him.
Yeah, me too. I don't use him much anymore. He doesn't have as much synergy for me now, but I could really see that, if you're running into people playing at least one movement mechanic a game, that's a free card almost. Like, why not?
Interesting counter.
Yeah. And then the Thing, well, I mean, he's just there as a good Zabu card, with good strength. That's there because, again, low collector level, not a lot of the pool 3 cards yet, a chunk of them, but not like a ton where like you can run most stuff. So you're not going to see a Crossbones in Alien's deck because he doesn't have them. Instead, you got Thing. And it's still really effective, And you got
The issue with Crossbones is you have to be winning the
Or
location.
tied. It doesn't say
Oh,
that,
tied.
but you can be tied. A 0-0, you can place him down.
Yeah, it specifically says winning.
Yeah, but it's ambiguous language because it just means not losing is what it really means. As long as you're not losing a lane, you may play crossbones. So a tie, you can play
They need to
crossbones.
clarify that shit.
Oh yeah. That's one of those language things like from before. And then Magneto can move some stuff around, especially in an era of so many Zabu decks. That can be very effective. And then, like we said, double fodder for Dracula Jubilee. Infinite, same thing. Death, you're never going to play her in this situation, so she just sits there guaranteeing something else for Dracula to go chomp or for Jubilee to go.
Yeah, because he literally doesn't have any chomp cards.
Yeah, but here's the other thing, and this is where this is kind of like some five-head shit that Alien's doing here. Along the same lines as the Miles Morales tip, he's throwing Death in there because if somebody else is running Destro and it's so common, well, you get Death free too. So why not benefit from somebody else's work? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a really interesting deck. It works in a lot of ways that you just would not think of, but that's why he's infinite and we're not, man. Like, very talented guy, very talented streamer. Really put together a solid deck here that, I mean, if I didn't have Zabu Jet, and if I was as smart as he was, I'd run this. But yeah, this goes to show you don't have to put money into the game. You don't have to dig deep pockets. You don't have to even be playing for long because he's newer to this. You just have to have, the will and the understanding of your own deck and kind of enough of an understanding of what's going on around you and other decks to know how maybe you can game the system and get effects of other cards to your benefit, like with the Death and the Miles Morales that you're not necessarily using. So it's pretty smart stuff. But yeah, grats to Alien this week for hitting Infinite. And
a person like this will have Shang-Chi for sure, but now he has to choose between this one and this one. I can go mid and take all those shit. You see? So like this right here, Dracula only has 2 choices. And I could just do Chavez, and now I have a 12 and 12. If Grand Central didn't pick 20, then it'll be these 4, but then I would play Chavez and I have a 20, 12, and 12. So works. He's going to Shang-Chi right side. And then gotta think about Captain Marvel.
The next deck we have is from our homie Red Ocean, who was a guest earlier in the life of the podcast. And he brings us one called Bast, Beast, then Collect 'em. And so what you're trying to do here is play Bast, to make all the cards 3 power. Then you're playing, because I'm pretty sure that's what Bast does, right? Makes all the cards in your deck 3 power.
Oh, yes.
And so then after that, you want to play Beast, pull it back. And then you can go from there. And so the pulling the Bast back is more just for the sake of space, I believe.
Just leave a spot open.
Yeah.
Leave a spot open.
Yeah, it's for the sake of space. That, and if you get Quinjet off late game, you can play Bast again for nothing. So you're gonna play Bast, Beast, then you're gonna play Collector, and then the deck kind of, if you look at the cards you got there, it kind of runs itself. You're gonna play Angela, then you're gonna lay some other stuff down. Agent 13's gonna buff Collector and give you a 2 somewhere. But if Bast played before she was out, it's a 3. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah. And then, Maria Hill will buff Collector. Agent Coulson, buff Collector. Mystique can copy Dino. Mystique can copy Quinjet to make stuff cheaper. Not that you necessarily need that, but and then you've got Hood there, so you can get that demon. That demon's going to cost nothing with Quinjet. So like you've got a really really solid deck. It's wider than it is tall, but it can be a little tall if it needs to be with Collector and Devil Dino. So definitely a really solid setup with Hood, Bast, Agent 13, Quinjet, Angela, Collector, Beast, Maria Hill, Mystique, Wolfsbane, Agent Coulson, and Devil Dino. Definitely a solid deck. And the benefit here is if Angela is not in hand to start, but you top deck her after that 3-card sequence, well, now she's 3 power to start plus the 6. That's 9. So it's about a lot of little things. It's doing a lot of little things well that make things get just big enough. And I think that's really solid too, because that helps insulate as well against the Shang-Chi type plays and stuff like that. Yeah, you got anything else to add there?
Nope.
All right, well.
Already extended the episode.
Yeah. Yeah. It's no big deal. I mean, we talked about some pretty good stuff there earlier. There's a lot of interesting things, but that'll be it for us for this week. Next week we'll have some more talk about tournament play and stuff like that. Again, we have the Snapverse and Night Snappers tournament coming up on February 11th, and again the form will be in the comments at the top or in the video description at the top below. Sign up if you want to take part. Rules, codes of conduct, all that stuff are going to be there. If you have any questions, come to our streams or join the Discord that is listed in the sign up form, and we will try to answer any and all questions you have about the tournament. If you want your stuff to be featured on the podcast, your decks, your screen grabs, your clips, your plays, you're a streamer that wants to be a guest on it, let us know. Hit us up in the comments, email us, show up at one of our streams and tell us. Find a way to contact us through all the socials, and we will try to make that happen. So Excelsior, true snappers, and we'll see you next week.
Was that it? Was that it? Was that it? Is that the one? Was that the one? Yo, let's go. Let's go. Yo, we did it, boys. Yo, we did it. We did it. We hit it. Yo, let's go. Okay. Yeah, let's.
What a surprise! I was thinking the same exact thing. What a coinkydink. What a coinkydink. Imagine that. He had claw, he had my claw, and I had his claw. Ooh. Come on. Rafa's some... Ooh! What is this? Spectrum! Oh shit! I'm fucked! Oh shit! Did I actually lose the... Oh my gosh! I lost because of Spectrum! I don't know what... Why would you snap on, like... Just because you have a claw? Like, what are you trying to prove here, bro? Like, what is you trying? What? Doesn't make sense. Hilarious.
where each deck fitted, even though I'm prone to snap that. Known to be so quick-witted, you sound Drax when you snap back, when everyone knows it rains Jess Jones on the tap mat. Think your boss sings the flow, administer vision if you're not at the spot I blow with a skip track. You tried to blow back the roof, so my armor said I will skip that. Jubilee still got a +1, Okoye said she's with that, cause the Nightman cometh, Iceman stunneth, while the Hulkman smashing America ass who done it? Snapverse 616. Snapverse 616. Snapverse 616. Snapverse 616. Then Invoke drops Kazar cause he's Mr. Fantastic. His spectrum of skills are what let me handle this rap shit. His puff up, his clutch up, smokes 3 sacks like it's magic, but it's a Wolfsbane classic. You thought your full moon's Jurassic, but it's actually tragic. If I'm a silver fox with the flippity yippity yapping, he's quick like a rabbit. His girls unfurling squirrels while his flirkins hurling antics. Invoke the hawk-eyed watcher who ought to see through your static.